follow us on other channels as well. Portia is coming up next. We'll be back here this afternoon for Fox 5 News at 4. Have a
Good afternoon. Welcome to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell, your host for this 1 p.m. streaming hour. Thanks for joining our news conversation where we're going to talk about our local headlines here and even some national news. First, let's talk the primary elections. I know many of you are wondering about the elections, clicking on those stories on our website. So let's get into the results here. First, the governor's race. So Georgia's 2026 elections for November taking shape here after yesterday's primaries, and a couple of high-profile races are headed to the runoffs, as you know, while others are set for November. So let's talk here the governor's seat. So one of these three people on your screen, Keisha Lance Bottoms, Burt Jones, or Rick Jackson, will succeed current Governor Brian Kemp, whose term limited. Now, Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones and healthcare billionaire Rick Jackson advanced to a June 16th Republican runoff for Georgia governor. Jones relies on backing from Donald Trump, while Jackson positions himself as a political outsider. Now, more than $113 million was spent on advertising in the Republican primary for governor. Jackson's campaign accounted for more than $61 million of that total, while Democrats running for governor spent about $3 million. And we can go ahead and show just the two GOP candidates side by side. And there they are. This was video from last night. So today, Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones formally challenged Rick Jackson to a one-on-one debate before the June 16th election, and we'll update you on what happens and if they decide to do that, if they both agree to do the debate. Former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms won the Democratic nomination for Georgia governor last night. The victory sets up a high-stakes campaign for the November election as the party aims to capture a seat that has eluded them for more than 2 decades here. So Bottoms won the race after receiving a rare endorsement from former President Joe Biden, having previously served in his administration in a White House job on the President's Export Council. Keisha Lance Bottoms argued to local voters that she was battle-tested from a time as mayor where she managed crime, trouble, and the COVID-19 pandemic before her surprise decision not to seek re-election here in Georgia. She cites expanding health care, affordable housing, and better education as her top issues. Let's take a listen to all three candidates.
I'm so confident that we'll get it done in 3 weeks is because I don't know if y'all remember who was here at the kickoff party that we had back when we opened this campaign at Indian Springs, but I told you about our family business, and I told you about our local community, and I told you about the light that always shines the farthest, shines the brightest at its base. And let me tell you something, the reason why I know we're going to win is because of friends and family members that are standing back here and they're out here in this audience right now. You're the reason why we're going to win, and I don't care how much money it's
Barely more than 100 days ago, we sent an earthquake through the political establishment when we entered the race. I think it's safe to say we shook up the career politicians and insiders to their core. But the job is not done. We have 28 days to finish it, and the choice could not be more clear or more important. Burt Jones is a political insider who's been in office for 14 years, working inside the system for his own benefit while promising tax relief and failing to deliver. I'm the opposite. I don't owe the lobbyist anything. I don't need the establishment's permission. I cannot be bought, and I will not back down.
Together with all of you, we have shown what happens when the people of Georgia show up and believe that their votes are our voice and that our voices will never be silenced. I am reminded that the grace of God is sufficient. When we launched this campaign, is that God calling? When we launched this campaign, I had no idea where the support and resources would come from. But I repeatedly said, God does not give vision without provision. And that provision has been through each of you who voted, who volunteered, who donated, and prayed for our campaign. I am grateful. Your support means more than you know.
Again, there you just listened to former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, and Rick Jackson. Bottoms, again, now heads directly into the general election campaign, and she says she plans to focus on opposing Trump and contrasting herself with whichever Republican candidate emerges from that June runoff. And on the Republican side, Burt Jones and businessman Rick Jackson advanced to that June 16th runoff after neither candidate secured a majority of the vote in the GOP primary. Early voting for that runoff begins on June 8th. Moving forward now, let's talk the lieutenant governor election here. And here's the people who are advancing to the runoff for Democrats. So this began taking shape last night as well. Candidates from both sides are pivoting to that June 16th runoff election. Democratic candidate Josh McLaurin secured the most votes in Tuesday's primary election, finishing ahead of Nabila Parks. And because no candidate, of course, secured a majority, both McLaurin and Parks advanced to the June 16th runoff. Let's take a look now at the GOP candidates. So Republican State Senator John F. Kennedy will advance to a runoff for the Republican nomination with State Senator Greg Dolezal. So those are the two with the most votes, and they will head to that June 16th runoff. Moving now to the Secretary of State race. Here's a look at the people. Not all of them will advance to the runoff, of course, but two of them, Tim Fleming and Vernon Jones, advanced after no candidate secured a majority. Both parties here heading to the June 16th runoff. Let's show the Democrats now. Dana Barrett and Penny Brown Reynolds will face off for the Democratic nomination. Again, that's happening. That election is on June 16th. Moving now to the Senate race. So U.S. Rep. Mike Collins and former football coach Derek Dooley advanced to the Republican runoff for the U.S. Senate yesterday. And neither candidate captured a majority of the primary vote, forcing a high-stakes showdown to determine who will challenge incumbent Democrat Jon Ossoff here. So this is another big race that many people are following. 58-year-old Collins currently represents a congressional district located directly east of Atlanta and owns a family trucking business. He focused his entire run for office on strict immigration enforcement, while 57-year-old Dooley is a lawyer and former football coach who is running for public office for the very first time. Now, we know that Governor Brian Kemp has been backing Dooley, so he showed up on Monday at the West Cobb Diner in Marietta to publicly support rival candidate Derek Dooley. Kemp says local Republicans are fully focused on reclaiming the Senate seat that Democrats narrowly won 6 years ago. Let's take a quick listen to both of these candidates.
I ran because I was sick of watching the careerism that's going on up there, the corruption that's going on up there, the inaction where there's a lot of yelling and screaming and nobody's getting anything done.
With me as a nominee, you're not just going to get to replace Jon Ossoff, but you're going to replace a Democrat with an actual conservative who will fight, and I mean fight.
Again, you just took a listen to those two candidates there, Rep. Mike Collins and Derek Dooley, who will face off in the runoff on June 16th. The Ossoff campaign released a statement about the runoff, saying in part, the candidates will, quote, limp into a month-long race to the bottom that will surely leave both broke and unelectable. Again, runoff scheduled for June 16th, early voting here on June 8th. Time right now is 1:09. Taking a live look outside here. It's so beautiful outside. Look at those clouds. We're going to bring in our Lauren Robinson. She has a look at your weather forecast for today and the rest of the week.
Yeah, you know, those clouds are moving in, and that's because we do have those shower chances that are going to continue to fill in during this afternoon and evening. This morning, if you were out early enough, you got a lot of sunshine, but over the last few hours, those clouds have certainly moved their way in. That's not going to hinder us from warming up, though. This is looking to be the warmest day of the week as we see those temperatures in the upper 80s and low 90s. We're already at 89 degrees in downtown Atlanta, and it's still pretty early, so we might see low 90s, which means we're going to be nearing records for the afternoon as our seasonal highs are closer to the lower 80s this time of year. So upper 80s, low 90s will be the highs this afternoon. You can see a wide range of temperatures out there right now, actually. 79 degrees in Blairsville, 80 out west in Carrollton, and then 90 already in Covington. Now, as we take a look at what's in store, well, it's going to be that hot weather. Most of North Georgia is already about 5 degrees warmer than we were this time yesterday. And as we take a look at our live Viper radar, this long, very long frontal boundary, it's pushing its way eastward, but it's doing so very slowly. So what that means is we're going to continue to see these shower and storm chances linger over North Georgia over the next several days, which is good because we do need the moisture. We are still in the middle of a drought, and it's a pretty steep drought at that. So we're not looking for complete washouts every single day. It's like we'll likely stay dry for the morning hours and then see those early afternoon showers and then late afternoon to evening storms. And this is what we're going to see mostly over the rest of the day and into the next couple of days. You can see that here on our hour-by-hour forecast. Here are those scattered storms pushing in from the south with that Gulf moisture there. And then the same thing happens tomorrow afternoon, and then the same thing happens Friday afternoon, all the way into the weekend. So we're going to continue to look for several chances for moisture over the next few days. Now, what that means for our temperatures is that, well, we're really going to stay pretty consistent outside of today. Today, we're in the upper 80s to low 90s, but over the next few days, we're going to stay in the middle 80s. We're just going to see almost like a Groundhog Day kind of situation with the same conditions each day. Look at our 7-day forecast. Outside of today, each afternoon, we're in the middle 80s. Each overnight, we're in the upper 60s. Each day, we have the same chance for those afternoon showers and storms. So it's just one of those kind of mid to late spring, early summer days where you see a shower pop up overhead or you have sunshine in your face. It's one or the other, and you're likely going to have both at some point throughout the day. So just be, you know, maybe have a rain jacket or an umbrella in your car if you have a quick shower or storm overhead. Outside of that, you will get some dry periods here and there. So if you have those outdoor activities, it's just a week where you want to stay tuned in to the weather just to know what's kind of in store and what's happening near you.
Okay, Lauren, so no need to cancel plans for this weekend or for Monday, Memorial Day.
Yeah, I don't know that I would really cancel plans because this is, you know, this is the situation that we're kind of used to this time of year in this area where you might go the whole day and not see much, if anything, as far as showers, or you might get a heavy storm overhead. It's just, I call them popcorn showers. They just kind of pop up and like fall wherever. And so there's no telling where those showers will land. Just kind of expect the chance for there to be one, and always just have that plan B. Keep your outdoor plans, and if you hear thunder, you know the saying, when thunder roars, go indoors, because if you're close enough to hear it, it's close enough to impact you. So that's when you want to have that plan B. Go inside for a little bit, wait for it to pass, and then you can likely go back outside and continue your plans.
All right, Lauren, sounds good. Thanks so much for joining us to talk weather, guys. We're going to take another live look outside because I know many of you are heading out to the lake either this weekend or on Monday. It's almost summer season, so this is the time. We are coming up on that. So let's go ahead and talk about next what Fox 5 is working on today and bring in our assignment manager, Tanya Mendoza. She has a look at those stories this afternoon. Hey, Tanya, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Jasmine, thank you so much. Yeah, so we are working on a few stories. One of them I talked to you about yesterday. Remember that Park in Sandy Springs, Morgan Falls Overlook Park in Sandy Springs, where they were searching and we didn't really know what was going on. Well, that all escalated throughout the day. There was a huge police presence over there where someone had spotted a suspicious person, and then they called police after they heard gunshots in the area. A nearby polling location had to be closed temporarily and then reopened. It actually reopened and stayed open until like late at night. So it caused a big disturbance, but they did finally make an arrest, is what they told us yesterday. What they're telling us today, and our Kim Leffler was back out at the park because they were over there this morning, and it appeared to be that they were searching for through the woods again for something, maybe evidence or something. We don't really know, but they were back out there today. What they said was that after all, all of everything went on, they made an arrest, and they took in someone by the name of James Andrew Dutton in the parking lot of the park and charged him with 2 counts of possession of a firearm in a city park and 1 count of possession of alcohol in a city park. Following the search, a second suspect by the name of Alicia Deaton was also taken into custody, but she was actually taken custody across the river in Cobb County. So that's why you're seeing those Cobb County police cars as well, because they assisted. So she was across the Chattahoochee River near Avon Road and Conway Drive, and Deaton was charged with 1 count of possession of firearm in a city park and 1 count of possession of alcohol in a city park. That's what we know. We're going to try to get those mug shots for you for a little later and have an update on that story as soon as we get more information. What I do think is interesting, if you go over to the Sandy Springs Police Department website, they actually posted a picture of the suspect standing next to a sign at the park, and he was dressed in full camo. So it was a little strange that they actually put that picture up, but it is there. We have it on our website. I don't know if I can show it to you, but it's on our website, I believe, as well. And if you want to see more, you can go and look at that on the Sandy Springs Facebook page or on our website in the story. That's what Kim Leffler had. So are you ready for some more stories?
Yes, ready for some more stories. And I remember Kim Leffler joining the stream to talk about this, giving that new update with the 2 people arrested. But let's talk about this new story here with these concrete barriers outside of the airport.
That's right. Our Tyler Fingert is working on this story today. The concrete barriers have been placed along the pickup and drop-off curbs at both the domestic and international terminals of Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport and the airport. Airport officials stated that barriers are there for safety purposes to protect terminal buildings. They will eventually be replaced by permanent in-ground bollards. So the safety installation, follows. There was an incident, I think, at the Detroit Metropolitan Wayne County Airport where somebody crashed into a check-in area. So I think everybody's just like up in the security. And, Memorial Day is coming up, so there's going to be more travelers at the airport. Plus, we have the World Cup, FIFA World Cup, coming to Atlanta. So Tyler's going to expand on all of that. He'll have the story a little later today.
Yes, and it sounds like much needed additions here to the airport ahead of the holiday, multiple holidays coming up, including 4th of July, and also for the World Cup, as you mentioned.
And today's the last day of school for several Metro Atlanta counties, so people are going to start hitting the airport to go on vacations, and the crowds are going to be there. So yeah, big important update with security measures at the airport.
Absolutely. And this last story dealing with a Beltline stabbing suspect, and I think that he was supposed to appear in court. Did that actually happen?
Okay, so he was supposed to appear in court. He had waived, and then there was another charge, I believe, that was added. Not sure if he actually waived that appearance, but he is scheduled back in court in June. So we'll be following that closely. So the stabbing happened, I believe, on May 14th. A woman was stabbed, and the victim was identified by the medical examiner's office as Alyssa Page. She sustained an apparent stab wound and succumbed to her injuries at the hospital despite life-saving efforts. So the Atlanta Police Department was able, through their camera system, they were able to track down the suspect and arrested 21-year-old Jamar Brown. And so they charged him with murder, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, and possession of a knife during the commission of a crime. during the commission of a felony. So what we're doing today, and this is what Larry Spruill is doing, he is actually interviewing the officers who made that arrest, which you can see right here on the body cam video when that arrest was made. So we are going to hear from those officers. We'll have an update on that story. I'm sure everybody's going to be watching. For the people who are watching us online or on TikTok, they can go on and comment on this story today after we have it with Larry Spruill. If they want to talk about it right now, they can too, because when we got that video earlier this week, I immediately went to it, and it was fascinating to watch, how this all unfolded and how the arrest was made. So I know that people want updates on that story, and we will have that today, and we'll hear straight from the officers.
Oh, that'll be a good story for sure, to be able to hear from these officers. And then I also know that we've been talking about the Beltline a lot in general, and just asking businesses out there if they feel safe, with the recent stabbing incident. So such a huge story here, and many people will be hitting the Beltline with the upcoming holidays. All right, Tanya, thanks so much for joining us to talk about what Fox 5 News is working on today. Let's talk finances now. So confronting the housing affordability crisis here, finally an issue where Republicans and Democrats largely agree. Congress is finalizing a bill taking direct aim at the affordability challenge across Atlanta and the whole country in general. So joining us for what this may mean for average buyers and sellers is Justin Farmer. He's the CEO of Exit Wealth Advisors right here in the city of Atlanta. Justin, thanks so much for joining us today. Tell us, how close is this to reality?
Absolutely. And good afternoon. Well, this is good. Republicans and Democrats, at least when it comes to housing, can apparently get along, because you have the House and the Senate expecting to vote and pass legislation this week. And again, it looks like it has a widespread bipartisan support through the various versions that have already passed, that I expect the final few issues, if you will, they'll get through those. And I expect this to become the law of the land.
So tell us some of the highlights here of this legislation.
Well, this is significant legislation, the most significant as it relates to housing in decades, principally taking aim at Wall Street type large investment companies that are often scooping up those houses in neighborhoods near and far, blocking out the everyday buyers like you and me. So what happens when that happens? Well, it drives up prices. It limits inventory, meaning the homes that are even available to buy. And this law, if and when passed, is going to restrict entities, those investment companies, from owning more than 350 properties. So instead of them going coast to coast like BlackRock or similar, and they're owning thousands and thousands of single family homes, this would say to those investment companies, you can own 350 at a maximum.
Thanks so much for explaining. Now let's talk about those frustrated buyers. How does this all impact them? What does this mean for them?
Well, let's talk about this in three different ways. Firstly, you're going to level the playing field. That's the goal. Everyday families will no longer have to go toe-to-toe in bidding wars against the Wall Street types, those multi-billion-dollar cash funds. They're likely going to beat out you and me. They're willing to overpay a little bit to get the property because it's a long-term investment for them. The average buyer may not have that luxury. Two, easier financing. The bill slashes regulatory red tape for smaller dollar mortgages, and that gives the first-time buyers and the lower-income buyers much needed access to capital, because they can't get the property if they don't have the mortgage in place. And more inventory. By cutting timelines for the environmental assessments and expanding appraisals, you think about the carpenters and all of the workers who can get started. They can get started more quickly, which then puts more houses up for sale.
And Justin, are there any exceptions here?
Yes. I mean, no legislation's ever going to be perfect. It's a process, and it's designed to be a little bit messy through the negotiations. But there are some exceptions. They don't want to put a quagmire into the overall system. So new construction and build-to-rent communities are exempt. And you say, well, why would they be exempt? It's because in the end, we have a real inventory problem. There are more people wanting to buy quality properties than there are quality properties for sale. So to avoid that gumming up, they're saying if it's new construction and if it's a build to rent community, they're exempt.
Now, do you expect this to make a real difference here for people?
Well, I do. On paper, this looks good. You never know when a piece of legislation hits reality, how much tinkering will be going on in the actual marketplace. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but so we'll be looking at the details in a year, 2, 3 after this becomes law, is how it really plays out. There is no piece of legislation, though, that can overcome what we have with these elevated mortgage rates. We were all thinking a couple of years ago that by now, the 30-year mortgage rate would be back near 5%, maybe 4.5% to 5.25%. I mean, that sounds fantastic right now. Long gone are the COVID days of the 2% and 3% mortgages. Bye-bye. Those are gone. But also what seems to be sticky are these 6.25%, 6.5%, or 7% mortgages that are very uncomfortable. These are numbers that Americans haven't been accustomed to since the late 90s. And so until those mortgage rates start to fall, then I just don't anticipate a lot of people wanting to put their existing home for sale, because let's say you're in a 4% mortgage today on the house you live in. You don't want to sell that house to turn right around and buy another house at a 6.5% or 7% mortgage. In essence, that house just became much more expensive. So until mortgage rates start to fall, I think this current environment that's a little slow is going to persist.
Justin, thanks so much for joining us. We love having you on weekly to talk about important topics like this. Thanks so much for joining us.
Have a nice afternoon. Thank you.
You too, Justin. All right, guys, time is 1:26. When we return, we'll talk about a local story here, how UGA students are spending their summer break to help kids in the foster care system. We'll have that story and more after the break. Welcome back to our news conversation here at Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell. Let's talk summer break. So while many students are spending their summer break at the beach or traveling abroad, a group of students from UGA are spending their time helping teens and kids in the foster care system. Our Maria Guzman has more on the story and their initiative. Maria, thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, Jasmine. Yes, we're here at Murphy Hearts. Now, this center is all about helping foster kids, students, and teens just really get them ready for their next chapter in life. Now, this center houses about 80 foster students, and they stay here anywhere from like 8 months to a year. And this week especially, it's very exciting because we have about a dozen of UGA students here who are volunteering, they're serving, and they're getting to play with a lot of the foster students. And with me, I do have a senior who is at UGA. Hi, Owen. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Owen, I see you got some water balloons because... Yep. Just tell me a little bit about what you guys are going to be doing in just a bit.
Yeah, so today's field day. So they've been doing a bunch of relays and stuff like that. Right now they're doing like an egg toss with water balloons, trying not to make them pop. Yeah.
That's fun. Owen, you've been here since Monday. Just walk us through a little bit of what you've been involved so far.
Yeah, so we have been kind of all over the place doing whatever they need. We've done some work at the garden, at the greenhouse. We built some raised bed planters. We've been doing some demolition on like an old deck, getting ready for renovation for new space. And we helped with graduation yesterday.
Yes.
4 students graduated, so that was pretty cool to help out with.
It seems like you've been all over this campus this week, and it's only Wednesday. You know, we were talking about how you've been involved in similar volunteer experiences like this. So just walk us through the other events that you also have been involved in.
Yeah, so at UGA, I'm involved with like our community garden. I volunteer there a lot, and another organization called Campus Kitchen. They help redistribute food to the local community, donated food. So I'm pretty passionate about like food security and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you're only 22 years old, and you know, instead of being in a beach, right, you're here, you're volunteering, and you're serving. Do you feel like there is a change that is happening with Gen Zs and our generation?
I think so, definitely. I think, you know, we've been raised in this kind of hyper-competitive culture where it's very cutthroat and every man for themselves type of thing. And personally, I've just come to find that it's not really a fulfilling environment to be around. I think when you're bringing the community together and building everyone up, that's really a good life to lead, you know?
Yeah, I've seen you hang out and talk with a lot of the students here. So what are you learning? Just what are you taking away from this week?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the kids have like got me a lot of hope. I'd say that's the biggest thing, is the way they can just smile and have fun during whatever's going on in their personal lives, especially in graduation. Just seeing 4 of them, you know, work so hard through things that I can't even imagine, and like actually, you know, succeeding in life. It's really incredible to see. Yeah.
Yeah, has there been a favorite part so far from all the projects that you have been involved in?
I mean, it's probably close to graduation. That was really heartwarming, I'd say.
Yes.
But, you know, I am passionate about gardening and all that stuff. So they have a really great system going on over there, growing a lot of things. So it was really cool to help out with that.
And just any message for fellow Gen Zers, right? I'm a Gen Zer myself, you know, or just your fellow students to be involved and to go out and serve.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say, you know, life is bigger than just yourself. If we work together and build everybody up, then everyone can have a good life, you know?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Owen. Now, we don't want to leave without one important thing, which is, there you go. All right, now he's ready to go hang out with all the other foster students here. So, Jasmine, it's been a very beautiful, eventful day here, and all these students, the UGA students, are going to be here all the way till Friday, helping this center look even much more beautiful than it already is.
All right, Maria, thanks so much for joining us. What a wonderful initiative here. Love to see students doing this, giving back on their summer break. We'll check in with you a little later. Let's move to Utah. So Utah is experiencing its worst drought in history. Many farmers out west are suffering because of it, and now officials are warning that the dry conditions there could have an impact on the entire country. Fox's Kaylee Schuyler joins us live from Upper Utah, that is. And Kaylee, how is this all going to impact us across the U.S.?
Hey, Jasmine. So nobody wants to hear this, but it likely means that meat and produce prices are going to remain high, if not climb even higher. Mother Nature wasn't kind to the farmers out here in Utah. It was a very mild winter in the state, so there wasn't much snowpack to help increase water levels. And then making matters worse, there was a late freeze that wiped out a bunch of the crops. So now Utah is under a state of emergency.
We've never seen something like this in our lifetime or anyone's lifetime. It's even worse than the Dust Bowl.
All of Utah is in a drought, with more than half the state facing extreme conditions. Now, farmers already struggling just found out about water usage restrictions beginning in a couple of weeks.
The water master told me a couple of days ago that we should get full allocation until June 1st. After that will be what he calls ugly halftime, which would be half the time and less than a full stream.
Rulon Fowers has been in the industry his entire life. He owns Circle F Farms with his son, and they call themselves hay facilitators. They grow, buy, and sell all types of hay and straw.
Right now, we've got orders for over 11,000 ton of hay. We've never sold that much hay.
Because of the drought, more farms are relying on hay to feed their cattle, but it's hard to find and it's expensive.
It's hitting all of the West. And so normally where we could find it in Idaho or Nevada, they're in the same struggles we are. I've heard dairy hay might go up to 400 a ton, which normally it's probably 180 a ton.
I just want you to get a good look at what it's doing to it.
Fowers drove me around his farm, showing me the weather impacts in his fields.
Our alfalfa's not doing as well as it should.
So now he's trying to figure out how he can maximize his crop production once those water restrictions kick in.
So we may just put most of the water on the grass and the grass alfalfa mix and water it.
Despite the drought, water restrictions, and rising costs, Fowers is staying positive.
And that's what people need to understand is farmers are eternal optimists. It's going to be better next year.
And these farmers are also dealing with surging fertilizer and fuel costs. There are state and federal assistance programs they can apply for, but I'm told there are some farmers who are already starting to sell their cattle just to get by. Utah's Department of Agriculture tells me that they may lose some farms this year because of this. Jasmine.
Kaylee, thanks so much for joining us to talk about this. And you mentioned some of the programs that the farmers can use. Anything else that the state is doing to help them?
Yeah, I mean, really what the state is doing right now, just so the whole entire state doesn't run out of water, is kind of that mitigation that's going to start on June 1st. So like you heard, it's called that ugly halftime, where everyone is going to have to use less water moving forward. And other than that, there's not really much you can do to combat Mother Nature.
Yes, that's true. Kaylee, thanks so much for bringing this to our attention. We'll check in with you a little later. Have a great rest of your day. Guys, moving forward now, time is 1:36. When we return, we'll talk with our digital team about what's trending on Fox Local and fox5atlanta.com. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. Thanks for joining us here. Let's talk what's trending on Fox Local and fox5atlanta.com. These are the stories that you are clicking on the most on our website and here on Fox Local. We're going to bring in our digital content creator, Joyce Lupiani. She has a look at those stories, and the first one deals with SNAP restrictions.
Hey, Jasmine. So yes, there is a story today about some states that are starting to restrict what people can buy with their SNAP benefits. And those items include things like soda, candy, energy, and drinks. There's quite a few states on that list. I know like Florida, Texas, Louisiana, and Montana are on there. So, we posted this story online, and of course, a lot of people started talking about it. And some people were wondering if there are those kind of restrictions here in Georgia. Well, the answer is no. Right now, there are no restrictions basically on what you can use your SNAP benefits to buy here in the state of Georgia. However, there is a proposal called the Georgia SNAP Healthier Choices Act that, various lawmakers are trying to get passed. But that hasn't happened yet. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if it doesn't happen in the future. I think there's about 20-something states now that place restrictions on the benefits. So it's probably going to happen at some point.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing, Joyce. It is probably going to happen here at some point here in Georgia, with a lot of states already doing this, especially here in the South. Florida, I saw, was on that list. So it is something to follow up on and be on the lookout for. Moving forward, we've been talking about Meta too as well. They announced, I believe, last month that they were going to make some cuts. Those cuts are now happening.
Right. Yes. So apparently today is the day that thousands of people are finding out that they are losing their jobs. So just in case you don't know, I'm sure most people probably do. Meta owns Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. So that's Mark Zuckerberg's company. And like you said, Jasmine, they kind of announced this last month, but today is the day when people are basically being told that they no longer have a job. So according to the story that we have on our website, the employees in the U.S. are being notified by email, and, they're just being told to stay home during the layoff process and wait for the next steps. We also found out that Meta is planning on moving some other employees into different roles. And I'm sorry, I think I forgot to mention this. This is basically all because of AI. So the employees that they're planning on moving will be moving into AI-related roles, and the employees who lost their job, that's basically because of AI. And of course, with AI becoming such a big thing here within the last year or so, we've heard about a lot of different companies that have, either laid off people or reassigned people. And a lot of people are definitely, concerned that someday AI might take their job too.
Yeah, Joyce, I was going to say that if you didn't say I was going to bring it up, I believe this is tied to AI, and it's so sad here. People losing their jobs and just getting an email telling them to stay home. And then this is because of AI. Just to me, is not good to see AI taking people's jobs.
Nope, I know it's something I worry about. But moving on, I do have a fun story. Just want to end on a positive, note. Yeah. This was in our morning show, Good Day Atlanta, and it was so cute that I had to mention it again. So cute, adorable, right? So this happened in Western Australia. Apparently there's a couple of roommates that live together there, and one of the guys went to the supermarket to get some salad. I think they were having steak and salad for dinner. And when he got home, he saw this cute little frog in the salad bag. And he went and told his roommate. His roommate thought he was joking. It's there's no way there's a frog in that bag. But sure enough, you can see it. And the frog looks pretty happy to me. There were little holes in the bag. So, the frog had air and everything. And well, obviously there's salad. So he had plenty of eat. In case you're wondering what happened to the frog, they named him Ben. And then they took him outside and they let him go near a pond that was near their house. So hopefully Ben is doing pretty good and he's still eating some kind of salad out there.
Oh my goodness, throw the whole bag away. What?
Well, yeah.
This is not cute, Joyce.
Well, oh, it is cute. I mean, I would not eat the salad after the frog was in the bag, but that frog is cute.
Oh my goodness. I love nature, but I don't know about it being cute. But this is a good story to end on. You know, I'm glad hopefully they gave the frog back to nature where it belongs. But they named it Ben, so glad to know that Ben is safe.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks, Jasmine.
Thanks so much for joining us to talk about what's trending on our website and Fox Local. Guys, let's talk music. So music icon Gloria Estefan is in town right now. She's working on an exciting new project at Atlanta's Alliance Theater. Estefan and her daughter Emily are writing the score for the world premiere musical of Basura, and Fox 5's Paul Milliken has a look.
We have been waiting and waiting, and Basura is finally here at Alliance Theater. It is a world premiere musical based on a fascinating story out of Paraguay. It was a documentary, now it's a musical. And look, you want to write good music that will get people excited about the story. You hire Grammy Award winner Gloria Estefan and her daughter Grammy nominee Emily Estefan. It's great to see you both.
Thank you.
Welcome to Atlanta. First of all, how is Atlanta treating you?
Atlanta always treats me amazingly well.
Good.
I was here for Father of the Bride, fell in love. I was here for the Olympics in '96 with Reach, and so only beautiful memories.
Amazing. Emily, how about you? What do you think of Atlanta?
Incredible. I told my mom this is the only place I will ever marry a man, because I did have a cameo in Father of the Bride.
Okay.
Where I got married at the beginning. I'm like, enjoy it while you're here. And also my best friend lives here. It's an incredible city. It's vibrant, not only in the arts, but people walking around.
Right.
And it's very alive. We love it.
Yeah, I'm so glad. And you're making it even more vibrant with this show that we are so excited about. So this is based on a true story out of Paraguay, and this is an orchestra where all of the instruments are made using like recycled materials. It's so neat. So how did you find this story?
Well, it kind of found me. In 2019, I got a call from Michael Schulman, the producer, who had bought the rights to the story. And he asked me to watch Landfill Harmonic. I watched it. I was so inspired. And then I went home and went, what did I just say yes to? I have to write all new original material. But you know, to finish, you just have to start. So I started. I invited my daughter to join, and Michael Schulman was all about it, because I think it's about a young orchestra. She's an amazing musician. And we had collaborated on the only original tune in On Your Feet. And I thought we could do something really special and different. And we've been working 4 years on this.
Well, so let's go back 4 years. So when your mother comes to you and says, we're going to do an original musical, what was your first reaction?
You know, this is actually the first time ever that a mother and a daughter have written an original score for a Broadway show.
This is it? This is the first time? This is amazing.
Ever.
Wow.
Which
History.
is really, really exciting. We collaborate incredibly together. I think with her vocabulary that you're going to recognize in the melodies and certain lyrics, and then my freshness when it comes to the rhythmic component and other melodies and certain words, which is just the best of both worlds. And it's been really great. And yes, she definitely wanted to hang out with me.
That was it.
Yeah, that's what it is.
The secret
but I'm
wish.
not mad about it.
I love that. You know, it's almost Mother's Day. This is the ultimate.
It was a secret wish to spend more time with her, because despite the fact that we both live in Miami, she was working, I was working, and it was really hard to see each other. So I go, oh, this will do it.
It was great. We both really love the story, and we're really excited for people to get to know the story.
What do you think of Alliance Theater so far? The support and the infrastructure we have here.
I mean, the first day that we got here, we had like a whole icebreaker kind of situation, and the team has been so lovely and loving and incredible. And the theater's just so beautiful. And something that's special about our show is that it's really raw, and the closer you are to seeing and experiencing it, I think the better. And I think this is such a beautifully intimate place. Like I said, it's like I feel like we're inside a tree.
Exactly.
And you know, when we have that whole component to our show, so I think there's no better place in the Alliance for us to start
and
this journey.
they're edgy. They take chances. The theater-going audience here is very savvy, and I think we're going to get a really good idea of what things work in the show. Hopefully everything will work, because we really worked hard. But it's a great place to launch
All right, what a cool story there. Our Paul Milliken speaking with Gloria and her daughter. Should go out and see the show. That's wonderful. Basura, that musical. Time right now is 1:49. When we return, we'll talk to our Eli Jordan. He's at the center. It's the former CNN center, now with a new look. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The former CNN Center reopening with a new look, and we have that inside look. Let's get to our Eli Jordan, and he has what you need to know. I heard that there's a food hall out there as well. Eli, tell us what's all here.
Well, it all started in 1976 as the Omni International, and this was the site of the first indoor theme park, which only lasted 6 months. And then in 1987, CNN bought this place, stayed here, and then officially moved out, sadly, in 2023. And then since then, CP Group has bought this, and they're making this a mixed-use facility just in time for a FIFA. Now, the phase one is open. They're investing well over $150 million here, but let me kind of show you around. They're going to have like 11 different restaurants, 2 Michelin-rated chefs out here. It's 1.2 million square feet, and this is the state's largest bar, actually. And at 3 p.m. today, they're going to have their official unveiling of the new center, CTR ATL, Center ATL. This is just in time for the FIFA coming along. They're stocking the bar right now, and then eventually they hope to get these turned into hotels, apartments, maybe some office space, and that would be really cool. Can you imagine living up there and just looking down late night? People are here after a game or something like that. But I talked to the co-founder of the CP Group, Chris Ekus, and this is what he has to say about the whole endeavor.
So today is a big day. We spent 5 years since we bought this project imagining what it could be, and spent the last 2 years actually executing that vision. So as you can see around us, we've converted several thousands, tens of thousands of square feet into retail active uses that the entire community of Atlanta can come and enjoy downtown. And ultimately, this mixed-use project, which is over 1 million square feet, will include residences, hotel, and other uses such as office space. No words can describe what Ted Turner built here. So I think it is a large shoes to fill, as you mentioned, but I do think that the era after CNN was a bit quieter down here. And so as we stepped into this place, reimagining it as a place really open to everyone and feeling a little bit less like a fortress, which it had been for the last several years, it was a big part of what we were trying to accomplish. I think in the past this had been a place people came to and passed through on their way to somewhere else, and now it's a destination. So we're excited for people to come and meet here and stay here. So yes, all these great events that downtown brings to Atlanta, whether it be the World Cup or the Super Bowl, we will be here for all of them, and we hope all the Atlantans come down. I've lived in Atlanta for over the last 20 years and actually went to college here in the 90s as well. So this is home. I raised my family here, and to have a project like this under our stewardship is an honor. So we're really excited to bring some local touch and flavor to it. And as you look around this place, and I would encourage everybody listening to come down and see this place. We've invested in the arts and culture community tremendously here, over $1 million. We've brought in local food operators. Everything in this place is for Atlanta by Atlanta.
Now, at 3 p.m. today, they're going to have the unveiling. There's going to be a lot of business leaders here. Even Mayor Dickens will be here. And so, it's going to be a fun event. But between now and June 12th, there will be like a soft opening. Not much is going to be happening. But come June 12th, when the first FIFA World Cup game is played here in America, they're going to have a viewing party here. It's going to be hopping. And you can imagine that bar behind me is going to be packed. And, they're just real excited to finally, this legendary, iconic building here next to the State Farm Arena and Mercedes-Benz Stadium. This will just totally change the kind of, destination ideas that people might have when they come down here. They're going to have like a bunch of places to eat. They got the big bar behind me here, and then, just hang out here, and eventually we'll be able to put some residents here. And it might be kind of loud to be a resident here, but I think it'd be kind of cool too to be living here. But you can see they got the stage behind me getting all ready. It's a hustle bustle of some activity going on around here as they get ready for all the dignitary types to come show up and see the unveiling of this phase 1 of the center here in Atlanta, replacing the CNN Center, or just revitalizing the CNN Center. That's been kind of left vacant almost. It's been kind of sleepy since CNN has left, and not much has been happening. But now they're hoping to revitalize it, just reuse this, get it going, have it hopping again, especially right before FIFA. And then, State Farm Arena is right there. You can go walking in over there, and the stadium, football stadium, is just right around the corner, Mercedes-Benz. So, this is going to really change things down here, get it back to sort of the feel of the old days, but without the big CNN network in here. But, millions of people have toured through here over the past 50 years. This is coinciding with its 50th anniversary. And but today's the big day to unveil and show everybody what it's like so far here at the center, at the former CNN Center. Jasmine, back to you.
Eli, thanks so much for joining us. This looks so exciting. Can't wait to step inside of there. Thanks so much for giving us this inside look. Your time is 1:56. Don't go anywhere. Our news continues right at 2.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here at 2 o'clock. It is great to see you, and we've got a lot of news to get to, as we always do. So I want to start off following up on the results of the elections here in the state of Georgia. We're going to talk about the GOP runoff, both for the U.S. Senate race and also the runoff in the primaries as it relates to our governor's race. So we're going to talk about that. But first, I'd like to talk about some headlines we're following here, starting off with health outbreak that we are monitoring closely. Health officials here in Georgia say that 3 unvaccinated family members in Metro Atlanta have tested positive for measles this week after returning from international travel. Right now, contact tracing is underway as Georgia health officials are trying to figure out who those family members may have encountered once they returned home. The Georgia Department of Health says that the entire family was unvaccinated and had recently traveled internationally. Now, while they were not contagious during their actual travel, health workers are actively searching for any people who may have encountered them. Keep in mind, measles is a highly contagious virus that spreads through respiratory droplets, like when a person coughs or sneezes, and it can linger in the air or rest on physical surfaces for up to 2 hours after someone who's infected has left the room. Symptoms usually appear 7 to 14 days after exposure, and they include a fever, a cough, a runny nose, watery eyes, before a rash like the one you just saw on your screen might start to spread from the head to the rest of the body. So I want to make sure you guys are aware of that. But as we continue here, let's talk about some stories we're following related to our elections updates. I want to talk about this very quickly because in Sandy Springs, you heard about maybe a police situation that unfolded. We brought that news to you here live as it was breaking. You can see SWAT officers standing by. Multiple police officers were there in a park, Overlook Park in Sandy Springs, where a manhunt was underway during the primary election voting yesterday. We know that 2 people were ultimately arrested. This is in the area of Morgan Falls near Overlook Park in Sandy Springs. Police say they heard reports of a suspicious person wearing maybe military gear and possible gunshots in the area. And so they were investigating. There was no evidence this was connected to voting or election activity, but as it did shut down a polling location, the Secretary of State's office allowed it to be open later to allow everyone a chance to vote. But investigators later located a suspect, James Andrew Dutton, in the parking lot of Morgan Falls Overlook Park. He was charged with 2 counts of possession of a firearm in a city park and 1 count of possession of alcohol in a city park. After an extensive search, officers also arrested a second man, Elisha Deaton, in Cobb County. They say that he was facing a charge of also having a firearm in a city park and also 1 count of alcohol in a city park. So something we're going to continue to keep you updated on. But like I mentioned, let's get into the results of those elections yesterday. So we know former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms has now advanced to securing the Democratic nomination for Georgia governor. Republican candidates Burt Jones and Rick Jackson advanced to a June 16th runoff. We're about to bring in our Deidre Dukes to discuss this further. I also want to let you know, as it relates to the Senate race, that primary is going to head to a runoff between GOP contenders Mike Collins and Derek Dooley. And whoever wins that runoff will then challenge incumbent Democrat Jon Ossoff, our current senator. Well, as it relates to the Fulton County chairman race, that was something that we were closely watching here in Atlanta. We know that Mo Ivory was actually leading that with about 40% of the vote, while incumbent Rob Pitts trailed with roughly 35% of the vote. So there will be a runoff there for the chairman of the Fulton County Commissioner. And as it relates to our Public Service Commission, we understand Georgia voters also were able to make some decisions there. Democrat incumbent Peter Hubbard ran unopposed after defeating Republican incumbent Fitz Johnson last November. And then on the Republican side, Johnson was locked in a close primary battle with Brandon Martin early Wednesday morning. So in the District 5 race, Sheila Edwards won the Democratic primary, and there is a 3-way Republican contest remaining too close to call. All of these results are on fox5atlanta.com, where you can get more information. So So let's move on to the runoff here in the state of Georgia for our GOP contenders. Want to get to Keisha Lance Bottoms in just a little bit and let you hear what she had to say. But first, let me zoom out here and bring in Deidre Dukes. Deidre, it's great to see you.
Thanks. It's nice to be in the building.
Yes, it is. We don't normally get to talk like this. So I feel it was not surprising to see these two gentlemen come to a runoff for the GOP primary. We're talking about Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones and also Rick Jackson.
Yes.
But, you know, maybe this would have been surprising a few months ago because people wouldn't have thought Burt Jones would be in a runoff.
That's right, because absolutely, Burt Jones was the clear leader in the race. Rick Jackson didn't enter the race until February. So this is really one of those situations where Rick Jackson really came out of nowhere. I think the biggest surprise last night was actually leading into election night. All the polls showed that Rick Jackson was in the lead. And then coming up in second place, we saw Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. Well, as we saw as the night wore on early in, we were seeing that actually the Lieutenant Governor was in the lead and Rick Jackson was a close second. And as all the numbers came in at the end of the night, Burt Jones finished in first place with 38+% of the vote, and Rick Jackson in a second close place finish with 32 plus, percentage of the vote, 32 point something or other. But basically, it flipped a little bit, but still a very close race.
Did anything about this surprise you? I feel like you've been covering, you guys know, Deidre's covered politics and elections here in our state for quite a bit. So what were some of your takeaways while you were there? Because I understand we talked about yesterday, where you were at the watch party for Rick Jackson. Anything that shocked you or surprised you in any of this?
Right, and actually, and I know keeping up with all of this, I was actually Burt Jones.
Thank you.
Yeah,
yes.
That's okay. But we talked to Rick Jackson today, so
that's right.
So I was with Rick Jackson today
while you were there.
But as far as Burt Jones's crowd last night, they were very upbeat. Early on, Burt Jones actually said, as the numbers were coming in and he was in the lead, that he really thought there was possibly a path to outright victory last night. He thought that he possibly could pull it off because there were still several metro area counties where we hadn't seen the numbers come in. So he didn't tell us last night where he thought these numbers might come in to push him over the top, to give him that 50+1 percentage point for him to win outright last night. But that did not happen. We all woke up to, again, 38% for Burt Jones, 32% for Rick Jackson. In talking to Rick Jackson today, he really hit the ground running. I mean, he actually has a round of interviews set with media outlets across Atlanta today, and we were the first ones to have an opportunity to talk to him. Of course, Burt Jones has been endorsed by Trump. In fact, President Trump, he sent out a campaign video, actually yesterday, a new campaign video, again, endorsing Burt Jones. But Rick Jackson also has really put himself out there as a staunch Trump supporter.
Right.
And so he did talk today about the fact that he'll continue to work on, drawing that base in. But at the same time, he also said he hasn't had the opportunity yet to talk to those who, weren't victorious last night, the GOP contenders. But he also plans to talk to them, try to get their supporters, on his side as he works to, take on and ultimately beat Burt Jones in a matter of weeks. But here's more of what he had to say.
My opponent, Burt Jones, cares about the political class, and I care about the unforgotten class. And so from that standpoint, I think I appeal to everybody. I'm an executive, a business person that wants to bring business solutions to the Georgia, just like President Trump does for the United States. And of course, I think I'm going to be President Trump's favorite governor.
Of course, this has been a very contentious race. Now, Rick Jackson, as you heard there, he really is billing himself as a political outsider, just like President Trump. And so he's saying that he is the one person who really can bring everybody in, all of Georgia from all walks of life if elected. And so that's really what he's pushing. As for Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, again, very upbeat last night. He's saying that, Georgia voters, they spoke at the polls by the majority of them going for him, and what we all knew would could be a very close race, and saying that he really sees this as an opportunity. He said he is really looking forward to, had he not won last night, having the opportunity to really take Rick Jackson on one-on-one. He wants to debate Rick Jackson, really saying that he'll have the opportunity to show voters why he is the one who's best to take on Keisha Lance Bottoms, the Democratic Party nominee, come November. And here's more of what he had to tell us.
But I'm so proud of Georgia voters for realizing that Hollywood production over there is nothing like the genuine article that you have right here. I'm the workhorse. I'm the workhorse in this race, and people should not forget it. I could not leave this stage without thanking President Donald J. Trump for his undemanded.
And he did send out a news release. Burt Jones did, challenging Rick Jackson to a debate. I asked Rick Jackson about that, and he said he is ready to do so. So it's, we've seen this very contentious race.
Yeah.
It will remain so here, in weeks to come.
Deidre, I think about the nature of the political ads I've watched between these two candidates, and I can only imagine what a debate between the two of them might look like, given the nature of how contentious the ads have been.
Yes.
So going to be interesting to watch. Before I let you go, when is that runoff for those who are watching, wanting to vote?
I've got that information for you right here. It is June 16th.
Okay.
Yeah, and very quickly, I do want to say that when I had the opportunity, I did ask Rick Jackson, because, even yesterday we talked to voters there in Jackson, and, asked them, what do you think about the tone of this race so far? It's been so contentious. And people did say, hey, we get it, it's politics, but at the same time, they're also saying, look, I'm worried about how much I'm paying for groceries. I'm worried about the gas prices, how much rent and mortgage, is costing me. We want to hear what you're doing for Georgians, what we do for Georgians, and what we do for us as far as helping us in D.C.
And to think about, are you going to put our needs first, right?
Exactly.
What does that look like?
Yeah, so they want to kind of get beyond that, the I guess you could say the nastier sides of politics, and they just really want to hear, what will you do for me if I, go to the polls and elect you?
Yeah.
Vote for you. Yeah.
Well, Deidre, thank you as always. I so appreciate our conversations. Yes, and great to have you in the studio and able to talk here on set.
Sure.
You guys, Deidre, we just talked a little bit about Keisha Lance Bottoms, so let's get into that. I believe we have some video of her as she was at her watch party. So ultimately, I want to let you hear from the other side, right? Because we understand that we're going to be seeing a runoff between Burt Jones and Rick Jackson, like Deidre was just mentioning. But Keisha Lance Bottoms has secured the Democratic nomination for governor in the state of Georgia. She won more than 50% of the vote and has been previously endorsed by former President Joe Biden. Her win marks the third consecutive time a black woman has been nominated as Georgia's Democratic governor candidate. However, the state has never had a black woman chief executive. During her victory speech, she criticized President Trump and highlighted her policy goals for Georgia if she were to be elected. Take a listen.
To lower costs in the state and ensure that families can afford to buy a home or rent a home. It means we got to crack down on corporate landlords in this state. It means that we are going to invest in our children's education from day one, working to make sure that pre-K is available to every 4-year-old in this state. It means supporting our educators by raising their starting pay and eliminating their state income taxes. And we are going to support our veterans in this state and their families who stand up for us each and every day.
Now, Bottoms will run against either Republican candidates Rick Jackson or Burt Jones, like we mentioned, in the November general election. So again, that runoff June 16th between Burt Jones and Rick Jackson. Let's talk about another significant race that's going to have ramifications here across our nation. And because, we've seen a lot of contentious races play out, not just here in the state of Georgia, but also across the country. And this one would be in Kentucky. President Trump backed Ed Galrin Iran defeated Kentucky Republican incumbent Thomas Macy in yesterday's GOP House primary. Now, he had a nearly 10-point victory. Gowron, a former Navy SEAL and Kentucky farmer, represents a major win for President Trump and several pro-Israel allied groups who have all worked to unseat Thomas Macy. Now, Macy had served in Congress since 2012. He had been outspoken in his criticism of President Trump. He was billed as a libertarian-leaning conservative, and he had previously called for the release of the Epstein files and spoke against the war in Iran. He also voted against the president's One Big Beautiful Bill last year. In his victory speech Tuesday, Ed Gowron says Macy was, quote, running against the president and the Republican Party's agenda. He says he plans to focus on President Trump's agenda moving forward. So I wanted to let you know about some other significant results here in the primary elections across the state. But let's get into what the latest information is as it relates to the war with Iran, because as of right now, negotiators are still working on a deal. You're taking a look in Tehran as a Revolutionary Guard member shows civilians how to use an assault rifle, as more Iranians feel the need to be prepared if negotiations with the United States were to break down. For now, President Trump is holding off on resuming military strikes while negotiators work on a deal to end the war. Any deal must end Iran's nuclear ambitions, or else, the president says, a big hit is coming, possibly as soon as this weekend for Iran. More lawmakers think it's time Congress steps in as it relates to this war. And the Senate actually moved closer to passing a war powers resolution just yesterday. 4 Republicans joined Democrats in voting for the measure. It's not expected to make it through another vote, but it's a sign that more lawmakers are joining, ready to wrap this situation up with Iran. I'd like to let you take a listen to a couple of lawmakers and what they had to say as it relates to this resolution.
That he was just an hour away from launching another wave of attacks on Iran before he changed his mind. Trump says we may have to give Iran another big hit, that we're all set to start bombing at a moment's notice. This president is like a toddler playing with a loaded gun. If there was ever a time to support our war powers resolution to withdraw troops from hostilities with Iran, it's now.
I think it's a good step forward. It's a recognition that renewing the war against Iran is not a great idea, that we should be trying to resolve this diplomatically.
And that was Delaware Senator Chris Coons. Now, ultimately, we're going to continue to keep an eye on this because we're wanting to see not only how those negotiations play out, but also whether or not Congress will get the majority of votes to pass the war powers resolution. It's unlikely at this point, but it is something to keep an eye on as we have seen more lawmakers change it up in terms of voting for this measure. 4 Republicans, like I mentioned, joined Democrats in voting for it. So we'll continue to keep you updated. One thing to keep in mind is that Iran has already threatened to expand the war beyond the Middle East if the United States were to resume attacks. And part of the reason why President Trump says he called off attacks on Iran even in the first place was because other Gulf allies, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, stepped in to say they thought they were getting close in negotiations with Iran and they didn't want President Trump to take action. We're going to keep an eye on that. But as we continue, we are gearing up for a major event here in the United States, and that would be the World Cup. And one of the, things that a lot of people are concerned about are infectious diseases and what the risk and impact might be. I want to get to the latest on Ebola because we know that healthcare workers in Africa, specifically the Congo, are growing more anxious, saying they're underprotected and undertrained in the face of this rare outbreak of the Ebola virus. It's rare because it's a specific strain that is driving this outbreak. An American doctor helping to care for patients there in Africa has tested positive positive for this new strain, and the numbers keep climbing. You can see that doctor's photo there. The American missionary had been evacuated from the Democratic Republic of the Congo after he tested positive for Ebola. His name's Dr. Peter Stafford, and he's a father of 4. He's now receiving care in Germany for this rare strain of the Ebola, but quick treatment is critical. One thing we know is that Stratford was working with SURGE, which is an international Christian missions organization that has served others during the Ebola outbreaks. So this mission organization has helped in other Ebola outbreaks, and now they're doing it again. Stafford's wife, who is also a physician serving patients during this latest outbreak, and another doctor was also potentially exposed. Now, she is asymptomatic as of right now, and she's following established quarantining protocols. The World Health Organization continues to update and increase the number of suspected cases and deaths in this latest outbreak. I'd like to let you take a listen to a professor of medicine about how your body responds to Ebola.
The whole aspect of treatment of Ebola is basically keeping people alive long enough for their body's own immune system to kick in and actually overcome the virus. And so your chances of survival with Ebola is very much dependent on how quickly you get into a hospital.
Well, that was Paul Hunter, a professor of medicine at the University of East Anglia in Norwich in the United Kingdom, speaking about how your body fights off this infectious disease. Now, one thing to keep in mind as we watch and follow this is that this specific strain of Ebola has no approved treatments or vaccines, which is why it is spreading so rapidly and why there is concern. The head of Africa's Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says they're focusing on 3 experimental vaccines, one of which is being developed there in the United Kingdom. So this is a situation we'll continue to follow as we continue here at 2 o'clock. I want to let you know where we're headed. We are going to get a check of your weather forecast with meteorologist Lauren Robinson. I'd also like to tell you about a housing program that Atlanta's own Killer Mike is working to develop for residents here. So all of that and more coming up. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Pleasure to have you here on our Wednesday afternoon. So if you've stepped outside, it feels a little hotter and muggier than usual. No doubt about it. Spring might be leaving us as we move into summer. Meteorologist Lauren Robinson has the update.
I'm Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Lauren Robinson, and we are expecting some scattered showers, a few isolated storms as we go through the second half of our Wednesday, and then on repeat through the rest of the week. We take a look at our live Viper radar, and we have this very long frontal boundary moving its way eastward very slowly, and as it does, that's where we're going to look for those shower and storm chances to kind of linger over North Georgia over the next several days. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at that hour-by-hour forecast. It eventually moves its way eastward through this afternoon, but on the warm side of this front, that's where we're going to see this Gulf moisture push in from the south. That's what's going to give us our really hot temperatures today in the upper 80s to low 90s, the hottest day of the week. That's also what's going to bring these scattered showers and a few isolated storms. But take a look at this front over the next several days. It kind of just lingers in the area, and that's what's going to give us these repeat chances for afternoon showers and storms. So through our Thursday, we're going to expect it. We're going to expect another round on our Friday, and that even continues into our weekend with chances continuing through Saturday and Sunday, even into the beginning of the next work week. Now, as we take a closer look at what we're expecting here, we go through the rest of our Wednesday. Here's where we see those scattered showers. Through the early afternoon hours, we're mostly looking for scattered showers, not a whole lot of storms. But as we move into the late afternoon, early evening hours, here's where those storm chances increase because we're at our peak heating for the day, and that's where we're going to look for some of those storms to be a bit stronger. Now, we're not looking for any sort of severe weather, but some of these storms later this evening could pack a punch, and that means heavy downpours. We're looking for maybe even some localized flash flooding due to those downpours, lightning and thunder, and maybe even some gusty winds. As we move into this evening, most of this quiets down overnight, but by early tomorrow morning, the far northern counties will be waking up to more showers. And then by tomorrow afternoon, we're doing it all over again. Those scattered showers turning into isolated storms, and then we clear out overnight. Now, as we take a look at these temperatures, besides today being the hottest day of the week, every day of our 7-day forecast will look like a lather, rinse, and repeat kind of situation. We're going to see those afternoon highs staying in the middle 80s. We're going to see those overnight lows in the upper 60s, which I don't really know if you can call them lows. They're going to be pretty hot. So we're going to stay pretty warm over the next several days, and we're going to continue to watch for these shower and storm chances. Each day, those shower and storm chances look to be kind of like popcorn material. They pop up overhead. We're not looking for them to last too long, and when one's not overhead, you're likely even going to see some sunshine. So this is a week where you certainly want to continue to be weather aware.
All right, Lauren, thanks so much for keeping us updated. As promised, you guys, I want to tell you about a new housing program that rapper Killer Mike is launching here in Atlanta. This is going to be a rent-to-own housing program, and he announced his new rent-to-own housing initiative through his real estate company. The program's trying to help families transition from leasing homes to home ownership, and it's already pursuing development in sites here across Metro Atlanta. But Atlanta rapper Killer Mike, whose legal name is Michael Render, has announced this initiative because he says it's really important to tackle high housing costs, and he wants to make sure that it's attainable for families to be able to go from renting a home to owning one. According to the announcement, the program is still seeking sites across the greater Atlanta area to develop and plans to reveal its first acquisitions here in the coming months. I also want to let you know that the Affordable Care Act, new data is coming out about the cost of health care, which I feel a lot of you don't need me to tell you about, right? But new data shows that nationwide enrollment in the Affordable Care Act health insurance is projected to plunge by nearly 5 million people this year as costs continue to surge. A new analysis by healthcare research nonprofit KFF found that the number of participants in the program could drop by more than 20% this year. The report also found those who remain enrolled are paying more for health care than they used to. The average participants deductible has risen by nearly $1,000, or actually more than $1,000, and the average monthly premium has grown by $6,500. Rising costs are in part a result of the expiration of those health care subsidies earlier this year, which helped a vast majority of Americans with their coverage, and it's forced some enrollees to drop out mid-year. However, the Trump administration said that federal efforts to root out fraud in the Affordable Care Act programs is the cause for much of this year's decreased enrollment. KFF Vice President Cynthia Cox, who co-authored this new report and the data, says while people are paying more, insurers seem to be already making adjustments based on the current market conditions, meaning future health costs may not need to rise as sharply. So, curious, do you feel like you're paying more for health care? What does that look like for you? As we continue, I also want to let you know about something else that'll affect your wallet, and that will be an update on tariffs, because at this point, European goods could soon be getting cheaper. It's the opposite story with China. The White House is signaling it's ready to have this kind of on-again, off-again tariff war with China once again, and let's get into why. There was a grueling overnight debate, and the European Union finally came to an agreement on a new trade deal with the United States. They were facing a July 4th deadline by President Trump, set by President Trump, and it came almost a year as this deal with the European Union was first proposed, and it should provide tariff relief for both sides. European lawmakers overcame fierce opposition by including a safeguard that allowed the EU to increase tariffs if American imports start harming European industries. It's a different story in China. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said yesterday that the United States is in no hurry to extend a trade truce with China, and tariff rates could go up by midsummer. Democrats have immediately criticized this move, saying it's going to make the affordability crisis worse. Farmers are also pleading with the White House to bring down tariffs on imported Chinese agricultural products. The administration says that China is the one to blame, saying that the Chinese are stalling for time while the United States is the one negotiating in good faith. Secretary Scott Bessent says the White House is trying to increase China tariffs by July. We will keep you updated on that. You know, it has a big effect on our farmers, even right here in the Peach State, as China is a major buyer of soybeans and other agricultural products here, and we have seen that start to fall with tariffs. So we will keep you updated on that as it moves forward. Taking a look at our timing, guys, here coming up next, we're going to check in on a few stories like safety efforts underway at the Atlanta airport. Our Tyler Fingert's going to join us for that. And the latest on an investigation with a questionable will dispute. How a judge got involved in this, we're going to talk about it. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here live with us in the 2 o'clock hour. It is great to see you as we catch you up on all things news here in North Georgia and beyond. So we have a bit of a juicy story to tell you about, and I'd like to bring in investigative reporter Johnny Edwards. Johnny, it is great to see you. I understand you're at the Center Square. Tell us a little bit about that publication.
Well, hi, Ariel. It's great to be here again. The Center Square is a nationwide news wire. It's nonpartisan. It's nonprofit. We cover the entire country. We have a heavy focus on taxpayer accountability and fact-based reporting. I am the Southeastern reporter for the investigative team, the EIU team. I cover all of the Southeastern states, including, of course, Georgia.
Well, Johnny, that is exciting because I understand you did some fact digging for this story we're about to talk about. And tell me a little bit about this, because I understand that a Georgia judge has gotten embroiled in what could be termed a questionable will. So how is this will questionable? How did everyone get tied up in this? What's the story?
Well, the main reason it's questionable is because a forensic document examiner says that the signatures on this will are not the signatures of the dead man whose will this is. Now, this is DeKalb County Municipal Court Chief Judge Rothelia Stroud. Late last year, she filed this will. It's the will of her late brother, Johnny Stroud, and the will makes her the executor of his estate, puts her and her sister pretty much in control of all of his assets, leaves nothing to his two children. Of course, his daughter was very suspicious of this. Johnny Stroud was on his deathbed when this will was dated, the date of this will. He was in hospice care at his sister's home, and she paid $800 and had a forensic document examiner take a look at it. And this examiner compared the signatures on the will and the accompanying affidavit with several signatures from the past, such as an old warranty deed, an old burial authorization, an old driver's license. And she came to the conclusion that this is not Johnny Stroud's signature on this will.
Interesting, and interesting that it involves these different family members, sister versus a daughter, who are contesting which direction that this is going. What have you found out in digging through this? I understand that they were able to get someone to look at that signature and to find out that there were some irregularities. What's next, and what are they looking at?
Well, interestingly, I asked this document examiner, I spoke to her by phone, she's based in Ohio. I said, I can look at my naked eye with these signatures and tell they're very different, the signatures on the will and the ones that are on the older legal documents. And I said, could it be that Mr. Stroud was very sick and he was ailing and he was struggling? Could that explain why the signature is so different? She said that's possible, except the problem is that the two signatures on the question documents are themselves different. She talked about the letters S and D being very different, and in her expert opinion, she believes this is indicative of someone trying to mimic Johnny Stroud's signature. So the argument would become, okay, even if it is his signature and he was having that much trouble writing his own signature, sort of another argument that could come up is, was he even in any condition to be signing a will? He was 12 days away from death of colon cancer. That's also alleged in the challenge to the will. Not only is the daughter of the deceased man alleging forgery, she's also alleging that her father was not in any kind of a mind to be signing a will that gave control of all of his assets to his mainly to Judge Stroud.
It's a good point, and I'm curious, have there been any steps, any action taken against the judge in this situation? Have they been able to find out, okay, this could rise to the level of a criminal investigation? Where are we with that?
I don't believe any sort of complaint like that has been made. There is a challenge in probate court. That is kind of stalled because the niece, Jimena Stroud, she asked for the judges to recuse themselves, with her aunt being a judge, obviously. Judge Stroud is both a DeKalb County Magistrate Court judge. She presides over the misdemeanor mental health court. She's also, as I said, the chief judge of Decatur Municipal Court. So in response to her petition that they recuse themselves, not only did all of the DeKalb County probate court judges recused, but all of the DeKalb County Superior Court judges recused. So now it's with the Atlanta Judicial Circuit, Fulton, over in Fulton County Superior Court, waiting for the judges there to assign it to a new judge. So it's stalled. So there's been no, Judge Stroud and her attorney have not filed a formal response to the niece's allegations yet in court. And I've tried repeatedly to talk to them for my story. I went to great lengths trying to get their side of the story, and they flatly refused to respond.
Well, you know, Johnny, it's tough sometimes, right? As an investigative reporter, you're trying to get each voice to be represented, and sometimes it doesn't always work out in that way. So you're able to report with what you have and what you know. And so my question is, where do we go from here as we wrap up? What are the next questions or steps for you as you continue to dig into this?
Well, obviously, the next step will be, if there's ever a judge appointed to this, to, of course, follow this through the court process. I mean, there's some other lingering questions. One thing that was brought up also in the court challenge and in some of the correspondence that I obtained through this story, one of those being Jimena Stroud. She filed a complaint with the JQC, the Judicial Qualifications Commission, which was recently in the news over the Georgia Supreme Court election. That's the judicial watchdog for the state of Georgia that regulates and investigates judges. In that complaint, she raised the issue that the notary public who signed and stamped the affidavit accompanying the will appears to have a longstanding relationship with Judge Stroud. There was a bankruptcy filing back in the 1990s, I believe, where Judge Stroud, as an attorney, represented this notary public. The notary public, she also appears on some other records that her father signed over the years. So, you know, that would be one defense to the disputed will, is that it was notarized by a notary public, and that's someone who's authorized by the state to attest to signatures. I'm actually a notary public myself. There was also witnesses. But there was, you know, the allegation is made in the court filing that these are all friends. These witnesses are friends of the judge, and then in the JQC complaint that the notary public has a relationship with her.
Questionable items, Johnny, you know, some things that make you think and maybe point to a potential conflict of interest. So no doubt you'll continue to dig into this and get answers as they arise and as you're able to find them. I always appreciate our conversations, and I look forward to the next one. Johnny Edwards, I'm going to let you go, but thanks so much for joining us live.
Thank you. Good to see you.
You too. Okay, guys, let's take a live look at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, because I want to continue here. And we're actually taking a look over Midtown just then. And there you go, the airport. So all good. We're just taking a live look there. As you can see, traffic is flowing smoothly, and a Delta Airlines flight is taxiing, getting ready for takeoff. The reason we're going live to the airport is because that is where some new security barriers are now being installed at terminals at the airport. So let's come out back to the desk with Tyler Fingert. And Tyler, I understand they're installing all of these concrete barriers ahead of major events like the World Cup. I would imagine it's for increased safety. What else are you finding?
So if you have been to the airport within the last about month or so, you'll see a long line of concrete barriers. If we take the video right now, they're pretty much on both sides. That's the center kind of median area on the south side, but they're also right next to the front doors over at the airport. And this obviously comes right ahead of Memorial Day travel. These long rows of the barriers now line both the pickup and drop-off areas outside both sides of Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. Airport officials tell me that that they are being installed for, quote, safety purposes, and will eventually be replaced with permanent in-ground bollards. There's actually already some bollards already there that have been there for I would assume years and decades since they built the airport.
Sure.
But I guess they are in the process of trying to add more of them to be able to make sure that if you're on the curb that you are going to be safe. And obviously this comes as Memorial Day travel ramps up. 2.7 million people expected to come through to and from Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport starting today until next Wednesday. The busiest day obviously going to be on Friday. And obviously we're just a month away now from, less than a month away from the first of 8 matches for the 2026 FIFA World Cup at what's known as Atlanta Stadium. I want to go to another piece of video. If we take that one full, you'll see, because you can see that car right there. The new barriers come just months after a car crashed into a check-in area at Detroit's airport, which injured 6 people. The cell phone video obtained by our sister station in Detroit shows the aftermath with the car stopped inside a Delta Airlines check-in area. While Atlanta airport officials aren't directly linking that incident to these new security measures, it's the kind of event airports across the country closely watch to see if they need to make any changes to their security protocols. Take a listen to what some travelers had to say about what is being added here in Atlanta.
It makes me feel better that they put it up for safety reasons, so maybe it'll help prevent any type of accidents since I, travel often and stuff.
Even though it's something very small that you think would not happen at all, there is always the possibility of that happening, and then having this can stop that.
You can't have enough security. You got a lot of crazy people in this world. A lot of crazy ideals in their mind.
And again, these concrete barriers are temporary for now. What they're going to do over the course of the next little bit, they're going to basically put some FIFA lining on there to basically say, I think it's called Atlanta or ATL to Gates is their promo that they're doing at the airport, something on those lines. So they're going to put some promotions on those to kind of make them look less ugly.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, look at them, concrete and a little
utilitarian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, they serve a purpose that is safety.
Right.
Hopefully, nothing ever like that happens here. The eventual goal, though, to put in those permanent in-ground bollards, but they did not tell us when that might happen.
Understandable. Tyler, thank you so much for keeping us updated on these efforts. You guys, coming up next, we are going to check in on some efforts by some UGA students to serve others while on the summer break. That's straight ahead. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here. I want to tell you about an effort from some Georgia students to help others while on the summer break. Maria Guzman joins us live. Maria, it is great to see you. What are these students deciding to do with their break?
Hi there, we're just really Ariel, close. Yes, here at Murphy's Parks. This is a children's center where they house about 80 foster youth who just come from different backgrounds. Some of them have been through trauma or neglect. And this week is really special because we have about a dozen of UGA students who are with the Wesley Foundation who are serving. They are volunteering, they're working. I'm gonna go ahead and flip my camera to show you guys what they're doing right now. They're getting on their mulching skills on. And I do have a student who's going to chat with us. Her name is Cheyenne. Hi, Cheyenne.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
And you're a senior at UGA.
Yes.
So very exciting. You're almost done. I first want to ask you, just walk me through how this week has been so far. It's Wednesday, so you guys are just right in the middle of this awesome experience.
It's been really awesome. We've had a really good opportunity
opportunity to do anything to fill in the gaps of what they need us to do here at Murphy Harps. So we've had the opportunity to meet the horses. We've had an opportunity to meet with some of the kids and do rec day today and play games with them and watch them learn how to team build and learn how to work together and to feel accomplished when they've won something. And we've also had the opportunity to do service projects. As you can see here, we're doing some mulching and some gravel to fill in the little painted pieces, stones, so that they can have a walkway. And then yesterday we placed these planters and we filled them with soil, and they plan to put an arch over where the front of the greenhouse is, so that they will have like a little path to walk through. And I think that they call this the path of healing, and so this is like going to be part of that for them. That's so sweet. I know that foster youth and just being in the foster world is really special to you. So just talk to me about why you decided to take time from your summer break to come here and volunteer. So I came here mostly just because I want any opportunity that I can to work with people and to love on people the best I can. My heart goes out for child advocacy, and so a big part of this for me is Murphy Harp's mission is to create a family where kids aren't blessed with a family of their own or a secure place to land. And so I've just really loved being able to see that that's their mission. And personally, I'm studying to work in early intervention, to work with kids in the foster system. And so studying psychology and studying human development and behavioral health, this has given me the opportunity to kind of see it in action, because you see it on paper a lot. It's really good to see it actually in action, and actually what it looks like to embrace them and to advocate for them and to be their family, to be their landing place. So that's just like my deepest heart passion, and it's cool to see that there's a place actually putting that into play. Amazing. Thank you so much, Cheyenne. I can definitely hear the passion and the love that you have. Sure. So we're going to be hanging out here all afternoon as I chat with all these students. I mean, they range in age, so it's been really cool.
Oh my goodness, this is so incredible, Maria. Thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. Kudos to these students. We'll see you again here upcoming at 3, but thank you for introducing us to them. What a wonderful effort underway. Talk about change here in the city of Atlanta. The CNN Center has been an icon in the downtown Atlanta area and truly within the overall city. Well, now it is simply the center, and our Eli Jordan joins us live now, where Eli, I understand at any minute city leaders are gathering for a news conference to talk about this unveiling. Tell me a little bit about what's happening today.
Hey, 1.2 million square feet has been revitalized here at the old CNN Center. And you know, the old CNN letters right outside the center, you know, we've seen them all over the place. Very iconic. Well, this is what's replaced it. ATL. This is what it looks like now. The letters have been replaced, and let me take you inside and let you show you what's going on. So right now, they said it's a $150 million investment, but people are expecting, you know, this to climb a little bit more. Thank you very much, sir. And everybody's getting there's a big hubbub going on here. It's lots of energy for this unveiling of a place that's going to have 11 nice restaurants. Hang on, I'm live right now, and I'll be right back. Sir, I've been here all day. Yeah, and with 2 Michelin-rated chefs, and they have the state's largest bar here, and they're getting things cranked up. Everybody's coming in here and getting excited about it. And it's the CP group that is invested, and eventually these will be apartments and hotels. But that's not happening now. But this food eatery, food hall, is going to be open, unveiled today, but it will be open June 12th. It's hard opening. That's when the first FIFA World Cup game is going to be played in the United States, and they're going to have a viewing party here. But I spoke with Chris Ikas, who is a co-founder of the CP Group, and this is what he had to say about today's event.
Today's
is a big day. We spent 5 years since we bought this project imagining what it could be, and spent the last 2 years actually executing that vision. So as you can see around us, we've converted several thousands, tens of thousands of square feet into retail active uses that the entire community of Atlanta can come and enjoy downtown. And ultimately, this mixed-use project, which is over 1 million square feet, will include residences, hotel, and other uses such as office space. No words can describe what Ted Turner built here. So I think it is a large shoes to fill, as you mentioned, but I do think that the era after CNN was a bit quieter down here. And so as we stepped into this place, reimagining it as a place really open to everyone and feeling a little bit less like a fortress, which it had been for the last several years, it was a big part of what we were trying to accomplish. I think in the past this had been a place people came to and passed through on their way to somewhere else, and now it's a destination. So we're excited for people to come and meet here and stay here. So yes, all these great events that downtown brings to Atlanta, whether it be the World Cup or the Super Bowl, we will be here for all of them, and we hope all the Atlantans come down. I've lived in Atlanta for over the last 20 years and actually went to college here in the 90s as well. So this is home. I raised my family here, and to have a project like this under our stewardship is an honor. So we're really excited to bring some local touch and flavor to it. And as you look around this place, and I would encourage everybody listening to come down and see this place. We've invested in the arts and culture community tremendously here, over $1 million. We've brought in local food operators. Everything in this place is for Atlanta, by Atlanta.
For Atlanta, by Atlanta, they're getting ready for the 3 p.m. unveiling. You can see the chairs here all lined up, the podium on the stage there, and I'll be here through the 3 o'clock hour to bring it all to you. Back to you, Ariel.
Eli, this is incredible to see. I know we've got some people here watching in the newsroom and just like cannot believe that this is the CNN Center and what it has been transformed to. I get that time moves on, you know, things change, but it is hard to believe CNN is no longer in downtown Atlanta in this way. But love the tour you've given us, love being able to see inside, and I understand we'll see you again here at 3 and be able to maybe dip in and listen to some city leaders' remarks. Maybe the mayor will make it there in time for us to be able to hear what he has to say. But guys, I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here live with us at 2 o'clock. More to come at 3 with Tom Haynes.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. So happy you could join us this afternoon. I'm Tom Haynes with you live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom as we get you caught up on all things that are happening today, including the aftermath of yesterday's primary election here in Georgia. Boy, what an evening it was. Former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms sailing to what will be the general election in the gubernatorial race, securing the Democratic nomination for Georgia governor on the Democrat side, avoiding a runoff to advance directly to the November general election, saving a whole lot of cash, if you will, that would need to be spent if she were in the situation where she would have to head into a runoff. So that war chest of Keisha Lance Bottoms will remain intact. On the Republican side, a bruising primary battle pushes Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones and healthcare billionaire Rick Jackson into a runoff on June the 16th. State Democratic leaders claim that their party is completely united headed into the fall, while Georgia Republicans face 4 more weeks of divisive campaigning between one another and, as I mentioned, the spending of their campaign war chest to win ultimate victory in this June runoff. Local drama unfolding for Fulton County Chair as challenger Mo Ivory leads incumbent Rob Pitts to trigger yet another runoff in that election. And the Public Service Commission District 3 Republican primary remains too close to call, with Fitz Johnson lockstepped in a tight battle against Brandon Martin. So a couple of runoff elections, a big one, especially on the Republican gubernatorial side, that we'll continue to watch over here the next several weeks as the 2 big candidates for Republican governor go head-to-head to try to win ultimate victory and go up against Keisha Lance Bottoms in the general election here in November. All right, Georgia Democrats already rallying behind their new nominee as they look to break a 2-decade-long losing streak for the governor's mansion. Former Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, as I mentioned, sitting down with our own Angelique Proctor. Angelique, first of all, she must be over the moon that she doesn't have to spend more money in a runoff election. Keisha Lance Bottoms now emerging from the mayor, 2-term Atlanta mayor, to general contender in the Republican governor's race.
Well, Tom, I got to correct you right off the top. She only did 1 term as mayor, and that has been a point of contention for a whole lot of people. But we got to give her flowers. What an impressive win for Keisha Lance Bottoms last night. I think a lot of people thought it was going to be a lot more competitive than it was. But Bottoms tells me this afternoon that she knows it's time to really roll up her sleeves and get to the real work now. She realizes this is really going to be an uphill battle against Burt Jones or Rick Jackson because they are both so very well funded. Now, she also expects President Donald Trump will come here to Georgia to campaign against her. But the former mayor of Atlanta says she believes the general race in November is winnable, and here's why.
It was an ex-boyfriend of hers that...
I'm a different person, different candidate, different year, different race. So we don't look at a slew of, say, white men who've served statewide and say, Mark Taylor lost, Casey Cagle lost. Why should a white man run again? So I think to assign that burden to black women really is unfair to us. People run and lose all of the time. And then people run and win. And I believe that we will be victorious in November. We take the lessons learned from every single race. We keep what was good. We learn from what was not. And that's what we will do. And it's the reason we had an overwhelming win last night.
And maybe we got ahead of ourselves there. That is Bottoms actually responding to, can a black woman win the state of Georgia? Many of her critics pointing to Stacey Abrams, who tried twice and was unsuccessful. And so the question being, what is different this time? Bottoms says she believes she's a different candidate. Number one, she says this is a different time. And with President Trump being in the White House, a lot of people are motivated to go out and vote. She talked about the record Democratic voter turnout that we saw yesterday. She believes that that will repeat itself in November. Now, I'm wondering if we have the soundbite where she talks about her opposition with Burt Jones and Rick Jackson. Do we have that?
We still have the power of the vote. And even in this race, I was not the top fundraiser in this race. On the Democratic side, we are not even holding a candle to what the Republicans have personally put in, and still more Democrats turned out to vote. So obviously we want people to support our campaign with donations. It's important. But I'm not a billionaire, so I may not have the gazillion dollars to put in personally. But I do know that the power of the vote still matters in this state. And we're going to do everything we can with what we have, do the most with the resources we have, be good stewards of the money that people are entrusting to us, and I believe we're going to be victorious.
And so the numbers are really shockingly different. You look at Rick Jackson, Burt Jones, upwards of $60 million on their primary race. Keisha Lance Bottoms raised just about $3 million. So the question is, does money make a difference? She is saying that she believes the value of the vote is still important, and reaching people, talking to them about issues, she believes that she is going to be victorious in November. So we will just have to wait and see. But she is hitting the campaign trail right now.
Yeah, that will be the question. How much of a campaign war chest does Keisha Lance Bottoms need to go up against Jones or Jackson? They're going to be hefty contenders in a state, Angelique, as you know, which leans anyway red. And the other challenge for Bottoms will be appealing to, whether she likes him or not, conservatives that voted for Donald Trump. She is absolutely going to need them in order to win a general election for governor. You mentioned Stacey Abrams, who's still very active in Georgia politics. I'm sure that the two are collaborating on some level, not only lessons learned, but strategy moving forward.
Absolutely. If you are going to win in November, you have got to build a coalition. And I believe Bottoms understands that. I was asking her if she's reached out to any of her opponents from yesterday. She says she's already gotten calls from 2 of those. And so she says she welcomes their support. And like you said, she's going to need those independents, some Republicans. I think she's very much aware of that. And she realizes she's got a lot of work cut out for her.
All right. It'll be interesting to see how she develops as a general election candidate in the state of Georgia versus serving as mayor and winning a citywide election for the chief executive spot of our city. Angelique Proctor with the interview with Keisha Lance Bottoms, the victor of the Democratic primary for governor. Angelique, thanks so much. Sandy Springs police have arrested 2 people following a massive manhunt yesterday that suspended voting and triggered a school lockdown near Morgan Falls Overlook Park. This is a story we covered live with our Ray Arena yesterday, who was on the scene as this manhunt was underway. Officers responded to reports of a suspicious man in military gear entering the wooded area, followed by calls of possible gunshots in that area. There's a golf course right nearby where golfers were out there playing. Investigators later arrested suspects James Andrew Dutton and Alicia Deaton on weapons and alcohol charges in a city park not too far away. Police emphasized there's no evidence this incident was connected to election activity and no injuries were reported. It just happened to rattle that area and the voting precincts that were nearby. Multiple agencies still investigating, and officers returned to the park this morning, continuing their search for evidence and weapons. Health officials tracking potential exposures here in Metro Atlanta after 3 unvaccinated family members tested positive for measles following an international trip. The Georgia Department of Public Health says that the family was not contagious during their flight, but workers are in contact tracing anybody who might have met up with that family. The highly contagious virus lingers in the air for up to 2 hours, with symptoms like high fever and a red rash developing 7 to 14 days after exposure. So you can imagine the concern of health authorities since these people were on a plane back from their overseas trip. These new infections bring Georgia's total measles count to 5 cases so far this year, compared to 10 total cases reported in all of last year. State health officials urge anybody experiencing symptoms to call ahead to their doctor before arriving at a clinic to prevent spreading the virus to other patients. The Atlanta World Cup Host Committee set to announce neighborhood watch party grants to get people out and about to watch the games in their own neighborhoods, help communities fund their celebrations. Part of the community outreach on the part of FIFA. Our Kevin Stewart live at Showcase Atlanta with one of the big winners. Kevin, what can soccer fans expect?
Well, you know, you can expect a lot of activities, a big screen TV, LED, and sound system, and a chance to have a really good time. We've seen examples playing all across the metro area, Decatur, Douglasville, downtown Birmingham, downtown Atlanta, and the goal is to try to get people outside of downtown Atlanta. That's what Showcase Atlanta is trying to do, and they want to get people in the surrounding neighborhoods involved to help community and to help area businesses. So they awarded 8 grants, and Cascade Heights is one of those neighborhoods. That's where I am right now. This is Cascade Road here and Fontaine Avenue back there. You see the beautiful restaurant. Restaurant's been around since the 70s, well known. And this parking lot that you see me in right here, this is going to be turned into an arena of sorts, if you will. What you're going to see is the LED screen propped up here with a professional sound system. And people will be allowed to set up here and watch the game. That's going to be on June 19th, which is also the day the USA takes on Australia. So people will be able to watch the U.S. men's national team take on Australia right here. The streets will be blocked off. There'll be kid activities. People will have an opportunity to go into the neighborhood businesses and shop, which is what the community wants. We had a chance to talk to one of the organizers and several of the shopkeepers here about what they can expect from this event.
We have the event on Juneteenth. There is interest there. There's history there. There's heritage there. There's Cascade Heights. If you go just about 100 feet this way, you'll see a picture with all of the Presidential Medal of Honor recipients that have lived in this neighborhood or still live here. John Lewis, Andrew Young. But it cannot be ignored that soccer is now a part of the history and culture of the city. So with that, it's an easy sell to have a Juneteenth event.
This is a huge deal. This is an opportunity for all of the community to be centralized in downtown Cascade Heights, what we call our business district. We've had block parties, but I think this is the first time this initiative is really spread out to all of our NPUs. It's coming after the road construction. I think the timing is amazing. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I think it's a very unique opportunity. It'll be good for the business, for the community, and we're just excited to just, just to be a part of the community, everything that's going on.
Now, the grantees will get up to $4,000. Again, we're talking about 8 neighborhoods in the city of Atlanta. We know that Summer Hill is another neighborhood that will be getting this grant. The full list will be released at some point today. We are waiting on that final list, and we'll get that for you later on today. But for now, we're live in Southwest Atlanta. Kevin Stewart, Fox 5 News.
I love that Juneteenth is the kickoff to all this, Kevin, as it connects to FIFA. And I love that they're giving these grants that if the folks in those communities can't go to the games, which we know are extraordinarily expensive, well, the games are going to come to them.
Extremely.
Yeah, a couple $1,000s I'm hearing, or at a minimum. It's like Super Bowl level cost to go to FIFA World Cup. But it's great that FIFA is going through the effort to bring the games out into these communities. Are they also suggesting ways, besides the grant, how to set up these kind of venues in order to get people out there to watch?
Well, the application process involved a very detailed process explaining exactly what you want to do it for, what you have. I understand there'll be some coaching on how to set up the event. The city's going to help out with that, the screen and the sound system. But the application was not just say, hey, raise your hand, we'd like to put on an event. There was a very detailed application process that went with this.
Soccer is becoming part of the fabric of our community with these historic games that are about to converge on our community. Kevin Stewart, live for us out there. Kevin, thanks so much. Also in the news here at 3 o'clock, we're going to tell you about a heartwarming story this afternoon. A Fayette County school bus driver retiring today after a half-century behind the wheel. She's 82-year-old Diane Vaughn. She started driving back in '76 in order to get health care insurance for her child who was fighting cancer at the time. Let's get out to our Doug Evans with Doug. What was a very emotional day out there?
That's right. They gave Diane Vaughn a standing ovation at the Fayette County School Board meeting. 50 years of service. They gave her a pin, too. When they contacted the company, they say, hey, on your website, we don't see a 50-year pin. They said, we don't have a 50-year pin. And so they had to make one to give to her. 50 years behind the wheel of a school bus. She started in '76. She's now 82 years old. Let's hear from Diane Vaughn.
Love it. I love it.
When did you start?
In '76. And I was only 32 years old, and I had children, and I had one child that had cancer that I wanted a job that I could have, but still could help him and take him for his treatments. But when I started driving, I fell in love with it, and I have not stopped loving it since.
I'm curious, buses have had to change over 50 years. Tell me about that.
Well, when I first started driving, I started off in bus 12. Then I moved up, and the buses we had was like 1, 5, 6, and 7. And it took me 40 years for them to finally get me an air-conditioned bus. But it was wonderful. I mean, it was wonderful. We still love the driving, though. And in the 40 years, they've come up with air conditioners, and it's wonderful for the kids and for the drivers, too.
Yeah. Have kids changed in those 50 years?
Not really. Not really. Some have, and then some haven't.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you got some that remembers how they're supposed to act on the bus. Then you got some that wants to tempt you a little bit, but they know when they can't do it. I had one young man that gave me fits for 2 years. He wrote me the nicest letter the other day telling me he was so sorry that I was retiring.
Oh.
And that just broke my heart, and it just made me come closer to him. Yeah. So that's how you become with the kids. I look forward to this every morning at 4 o'clock of getting up and meeting with my kids.
4 o'clock every
4 o'clock
morning.
every morning,
50
yes.
years.
50 years.
4 o'clock every morning.
Yes, sir.
Oh. All right, you take the average school bus trip of 12,000 miles a year, you times that by 50 years. Here's what you get. You can drive around the equator of the Earth 24 times. That's what she would have done. Or you can drive to the moon and back and still have 122,000 miles left over. That's how much she would have traveled in a school bus in her 50 years behind the wheel here in Fayette County. Listen, a school bus, when it's full, weighs about 18 tons, and it's about 45 feet long, almost like laying a 4-story building on its side. That's what she's been driving all these years. But, Tom, she tells me when she parks that bus, when she steps down out of it, and she closes the door for the last time, it won't be those kinds of figures that she thinks about. It will be about all the faces.
Yeah. And getting up at 4 a.m. for 50 years. Wow, to drive that big school bus. And it sounds, Doug, like this was a real emotional evolution for her, from needing to drive that bus to get to, be able to earn the money necessary to help her child who was struggling with cancer, to forging a real love and relationship with the students who she was transporting every day from their homes to their places where they were learning.
Imagine being enthusiastic about anything for 50 years, right? Not just your job, I'm talking about anything, right? And she says it's all about the kids. It's absolutely about the kids. One funny thing that I asked her, Tom, listen, if you've never ridden a school bus, or if you have forgotten about your experiences on a school bus, you take a school bus filled with kids who have been fueled by school lunches. It can be a very smelly experience. And so I asked Diane, what is the worst thing you ever smelled? And she goes, oh, it makes me sick to my stomach just thinking about it.
Especially with no AC on board.
She didn't answer the question. She didn't need to.
Yeah. Imagine no AC on top of that. What a woman.
Yeah.
And we could see why the community is tipping their hat to her after touching so many lives, including her own child. What a story, and we honor her as well. Doug Evans in Fayette County for us. Doug, thanks. We have news out of the situation with Iran and the United States Senate. There's negotiations going on right now to end that conflict between the Trump administration and negotiators there. President Trump continuing to insist that Iranian leaders are ready to make a deal, but we haven't seen the fruits of that quite yet. Global tensions remain high as Tehran refuses to meet the White House's top non-negotiable requirement, and that is no nuclear armament. Meanwhile, lawmakers in Washington, many of them, are closing in on a war powers resolution, something they've tried to pass on several occasions but haven't been able to, and the next military moves of this administration. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer taking to the floor to blast the administration's strategy.
Well, earlier today, Trump said that he was just an hour away from launching another wave of attacks on Iran before he changed his mind. Trump says we may have to give Iran another big hit, that we're all set to start bombing at a moment's notice. This president is like a toddler playing with a loaded gun. If there was ever a time to support our war powers resolution to withdraw troops from hostilities with Iran, it's now.
I think that's a good step forward. It's a recognition that renewing the war against Iran is not a great idea, that we should be trying to resolve this diplomatically.
There's lawmakers talking about the war powers resolution that they are trying to pass through Congress right now. They're debating the issue. Democrats seem more for it than Republicans. This procedural vote, only the first hurdle, and the legislation faces a certain veto if it happens to reach the president's desk. Anxious healthcare workers around the world really are focusing on an unprecedented and trained workforce in the face of rapidly spreading Ebola virus outbreaks. An American missionary doctor serving there has tested positive for this new strain and has been evacuated to Germany for what we understand will be specialized treatment. The World Health Organization says the number of suspected cases has climbed to almost 600, with nearly 140 deaths recognized so far. The WHO assesses the risk to the epidemic as high at the national and regional levels and low at the global levels.
The whole aspect of treatment of Ebola is basically keeping people alive long enough for their body's own immune system to kick in and actually overcome the virus. And so your chances of survival with Ebola is very much dependent on how quickly you get into a hospital.
And yeah, medical treatment of the utmost importance where it concerns Ebola. Officials state this particular strain has no approved vaccines, but labs are expediting work on 3 experimental doses, we understand, in hopes of containing the spread of this virus. Let's talk about the tariff situation. The European Union finally agreeing to a new trade deal with the United States, leading to fresh tariff relief on both sides of the Atlantic. European lawmakers eventually overcoming internal opposition by adding a special industry safeguard, we understand, to prevent American imports from harming local businesses in Europe. But this is a completely different story regarding China, as Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent signals the U.S. is in no hurry to extend its current trade truce there. The president just meeting with the Chinese leader Xi Jinping and will do so again in September when Xi travels to the United States. White House officials claim Beijing is merely stalling for time while American farmers and Democrats warn new midsummer tariffs will deepen the affordability crisis. Secretary Bessent says that the administration remains fully prepared to force higher rates on Chinese goods if reasonable negotiations continue to fall. When we come back here during the 3 p.m. streaming hour of Fox Local, we're going to talk about our midweek weather forecast, whether some of the clouds and thunderstorms that you might see out there right now will continue as the week unfolds. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour. So happy you're with us this afternoon. I'm Tom Haynes with you live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom, covering a lot of ground news-wise, a lot happening, including yesterday's primary election here in Georgia. Weather held out, no rain to delay people getting to the polls or getting wet when they walk out of the polls. But here's meteorologist Lauren Robinson with what the rest of the work week is looking like.
I'm Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Lauren Robinson, and we are expecting some scattered showers, a few isolated storms as we go through the second half of our Wednesday and then on repeat through the rest of the week. We take a look at our live Viper radar, and we have this very long frontal boundary moving its way eastward very slowly, and as it does, that's where we're going to look for those shower and storm chances to kind of linger over North Georgia over the next several days. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at that hour by hour-by-hour forecast. It eventually moves its way eastward through this afternoon. But on the warm side of this front, that's where we're going to see this Gulf moisture push in from the south. That's what's going to give us our really hot temperatures today in the upper 80s to low 90s, the hottest day of the week. That's also what's going to bring these scattered showers and a few isolated storms. But take a look at this front over the next several days. It kind of just lingers in the area, and that's what's going to give us these repeat chances for afternoon showers and storms. So through our Thursday, we're going to expect it. We're going to expect another round on our Friday, and that even continues into our weekend with chances continuing through Saturday and Sunday, even into the beginning of the next work week. Now, as we take a closer look at what we're expecting here, we go through the rest of our Wednesday. Here's where we see those scattered showers. Through the early afternoon hours, we're mostly looking for scattered showers, not a whole lot of storms. But as we move into the late afternoon, early evening hours, here's where those storm chances increase because we're at our peak heating for the day, and that's where we're going to look for some of those storms to be a bit stronger. Now, we're not looking for any sort of severe weather, but some of these storms later this evening could pack a punch, and that means heavy downpours. We're looking for maybe even some localized flash flooding due to those downpours, lightning and thunder, and maybe even some gusty winds. As we move into this evening, most of this quiets down overnight, but by early tomorrow morning, the far northern counties will be waking up to more showers. And then by tomorrow afternoon, we're doing it all over again. Those scattered showers turning into isolated storms, and then we clear out overnight. Now, as we take a look at these temperatures, besides today being the hottest day of the week, every day of our 7-day forecast will look like a lather, rinse, and repeat kind of situation. We're going to see those afternoon highs staying in the middle 80s. We're going to see those overnight lows in the upper 60s, which I don't really know if you can call them lows. They're going to be pretty hot. So we're going to stay pretty warm over the next several days, and we're going to continue to watch for these shower and storm chances. Each day, those shower and storm chances look to be kind of like popcorn material. They pop up overhead. We're not looking for them to last too long, and when one's not overhead, you're likely even going to see some sunshine. So this is a week where you certainly want to continue to be weather aware.
All right, Lauren, thanks so much. We'll keep watch of the weather. Atlanta rapper and activist Killer Mike is launching a new real estate venture aimed at turning local renters into homeowners. The Grammy winner announced the build-to-ownership program through his real estate firm in an effort to help Atlanta families build wealth. The initiative creates a structured lease-to-own pathway specifically for working-class residents who struggle to secure traditional financing. Organizers say they are already scouting high-growth development sites near local transit access and hub neighborhoods across the metro Atlanta area. Organizers say the venture expects to announce its very first property acquisition within the coming months as city leaders continue to push for alternative, affordable housing options. Well, new data showing nationwide enrollment in the Affordable Care Act is projected to plunge by nearly 5 million people this year as surging costs hit consumers hard in the wallet. A new analysis by the healthcare nonprofit KFF finds program participation could drop by more than 20%, we understand. Those who say that they're paying much more with an average deductible over $1,000 and monthly premiums growing by $65 following the expiration of key federal subsidies for that program, COVID-era subsidies. While the Trump administration blames the decrease on efforts to root out program fraud, experts say forcing people out of mid-year down to affordability issues remains the driving factor of the increases. KFF researchers note that issuers are already adjusting to the shifting market, which could prevent future costs from rising quite as sharply. When we come back, a lot more still to talk about here in the 3 p.m. streaming hour on Fox Local. We're getting news about the suspect who is accused of stabbing and killing that woman on the Atlanta Beltline, a story that was breaking here during the 3 p.m. streaming hour last week. We're going to check in with our Larry Spruill as to the prior convictions of this suspect when we come back. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. So happy you're with us this afternoon. I'm Tom Haynes, your host, live here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. We're getting a lot of news into our newsroom today on this day after the primary election here in Georgia, where a lot of people turned out to vote. We'll be continuing to follow that story all day and all evening long. There are new questions being raised over the suspect accused of that stabbing on the Atlanta Beltline last week, and the suspected accused killer and his prior convictions. Our Larry Spruill live at the Fulton County Jail with detailed new information from prosecutors. Larry, what are they saying about this man?
Well, Tom, we spoke with the Atlanta police officers, those two officers who arrested that man right here in this area in downtown Atlanta. Now, the officers tell me that everything happened within 5 minutes, and all of that was shown on that body cam video. Now, let's take a look at that body cam video that Atlanta police showed us of the arrest that day. Now, it shows the two officers, B. Alex and Rookie K. Taylor, arresting 21-year-old Jamari Brown. Now, Atlanta police say he stabbed 23-year-old Alyssa Page last Thursday on the 1700 block of Flagler Avenue Northeast. It all happened around 12:10 that day. They got reports of a stabbing just north of the Montgomery Ferry Drive overpass. Now, police say Brown had already attacked a U.S. Postal Service worker with a rock before he stabbed Page. After the stabbing, Page was taken to the Grady Hospital, where she later died from her injuries. Now, around 5:20 that day, both Alex and Taylor spotted the suspect riding on the bicycle tied to the attacks. That's when those two officers arrested him. The officers tell me how everything went down. Take a listen.
We made the first attempt to get to him. He rode past me, so I give her instructions to go farther down so that way we can get to him. And once she drove immediately past him, I quickly jump out of the car. I drew my weapon, and I give him verbal command to get on the ground.
And also the officers explained to me the amount of force that they had to use during that arrest because of what he allegedly previously did on the Beltline earlier. I'm working on that part of the story, all new today at 4. We are live in downtown Atlanta. I'm Larry Spruill, Fox 5 News.
You know, Larry, it remains amazing where they wound up capturing this stabbing suspect there on Peachtree Street. When you consider where this stabbing happened, near the Ansley Mall, right behind, kind of next to Ansley Country Club, right off Monroe Drive there, he didn't bike very far from that area. He just got to that area on Peachtree Road, kind of near the High Museum and that area where police were able to not only track him down, but capture him.
Yeah, Tommy, you mentioned the heavy area of the mall just down the street, but also that arrest happened right outside of an Episcopal church. So a lot of traffic moving in this area, a lot of pedestrians in this area at that time. So it's amazing and really good. The good point is that no one was hurt during this arrest. But as you mentioned, Tom, he did not ride far from the Beltline from where that incident happened. They found him right here in this area. They saw him riding on that bike. The officers said the takedown in the arrest took about 5 minutes or so.
All right. Interesting new information. Larry Spruill live for us this afternoon in downtown Atlanta with more on the alleged suspect involved in this fatal stabbing. Larry, thanks so much. As we continue here, a new tech training pipeline opening today at West Georgia Technical College. An exciting day as the school launches a mock Microsoft data center lab in Douglasville to accelerate career pathways. Let's get out to our Chris Rosenthal, who's standing by live, always doing cool, innovative stories on the next generation of workers out there. Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. Next generation indeed. And, you know, we all hear about the data centers popping up. A lot of them here in this area where I'm at in Douglasville, including some Microsoft data centers. But with data centers, you need jobs, you need employees, you need that pipeline. And that's why Microsoft is investing in local educational institutions like this one here at West Georgia Technical College to train those students. They have invested $750,000 in the mock data center training facility here just behind me on the campus. And I got a little bit of a tour of that earlier today, and I spoke with Julie. She's the president of West Georgia Technical College. A little bit more about what this means and what students can expect. Let's take a listen.
Where students would normally have the opportunity to just kind of learn from textbooks or computer programs or, you know, different types of other media, Microsoft has afforded us the opportunity to actually have this mock server lab here for our students to be able to put the servers in, do the networking, work on the hardware, and actually touch and feel and be a part of something that you can't actually walk into a data center and do just to learn. So it's a great environment for students.
And you know, we hear about these data centers popping up. This means jobs. And how important is it for you guys to sort of get ahead of this and get these students in the pipeline?
You know, as a technical college, our entire mission is workforce development. Every single program we teach has to result in a job for our students. That's what matters. The other flip side of that is that these jobs have to be jobs that our community industries need. So we've got to marry the students and we've got with the industry, and they've got to be appropriately trained. So this provides opportunities for our networking, computer programming, cybersecurity, computer specialist, associate degree, certificate, all these students to be able to have that hands-on experience to go right into those jobs. In this day and age, it doesn't matter the size of your company, you've got IT people that you need to have in order to keep you safe. And so we are working on that pipeline and helping to support our industries. Super grateful that Microsoft is invested in our students, invested in our community, and given us the equipment to make that pipeline even more solid than it was before.
Yeah, as a technical college, are you getting those big companies and even other companies coming to you saying, we need students that know this stuff?
Absolutely, and that comes across the board from, you know, the chamber even wanting to offer things to small businesses, to your restaurants, medical offices. I mean, I could go on and on. You can talk about data centers all you want, but even every company has some sort of form of networking that needs to be done in order for their business to be safe and successful. So there are jobs aplenty for these students, and now they get a little bit more hands-on experience that we really want them to have.
They had a ribbon-cutting ceremony here today with officials from Microsoft and from the school and some other local leaders here. They won't officially fill this mock data center lab with students until August. They have about 700 or so students in their computer classes, computer training classes here. So, but then this is going to be part of that curriculum for them. Microsoft also providing additional funds to help fund those students' education, and opening up a similar lab earlier this morning, having another ribbon cutting at Atlanta Technical College for another Microsoft Data Center Academy lab there. This is just, a big moment here for this school to have this opportunity, and look forward to seeing what comes out.
As your shot kind of comes in and out, it's interesting, Chris, that you're on this topic this morning. I was watching on one of the financial news networks a live interview with Jeff Bezos this morning. The interview asking him if he bought into this fear that AI was going to vanquish jobs and leave a lot of people unemployed. He said quite the contrary. He said it's going to create a lot of jobs, and it sounds like from your reporting behind you there, that center, that this is a great example of exactly how that's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and it's not just the sort of techie, you know, IT sort of jobs, working on servers and things like that. But, you know, there's also building the data centers. There, you know, there's the plumbing, the electrical, there's the digging, there's the construction, there's all of that goes into it as well. And they also help teach, you know, teach some of those skilled trades at institutions like this as well. So, yeah, some jobs lost, but other jobs, you know, hopefully will come in and behind that and fill up. And I think that's what a lot of this skilled labor push that we see is about.
Yeah, Bezos making that exact point. With every revolution, there's fears of job losses and machines taking over our society, but it never seems to happen. Do you see how you and Bezos think so much alike, Chris?
Yeah, you know, maybe maybe we're onto something. Maybe I should try a few things out. So
all right, Chris Rosenthal live for us. Chris, thanks so much. When we continue, a lot more still to get to here in the 3 p.m. streaming hour on Fox Local. Going to take you live to what was CNN Center, where a big live event is happening this afternoon, including the mayor, who's going to speak at the opening of what will now be known simply as the Center. We're going to tell you what's going to be happening in there as we knock on the door of FIFA World Cup coming to that same area when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. Appreciate you streaming with us on this Wednesday afternoon. I'm Tom Haines with you, live here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom, covering a lot of ground today as we head out to UGA. You know, a lot of college students set off on a summer break on warm, sunny beaches, but one group of UGA students is spending their summer with foster youth in Cedartown. Maria Guzman live with more on this meaningful service trend. Hey, Maria.
This whole hill.
In the healing garden, that's what they call it, and some UGA students just finished some work here. But at this center, at this organization, they house about 80 foster youth. Now that can mean all the way from preteens to teens to even young adults. They take in just preteens as early as 12 years old, right? And with me to talk more about the organization and the mission here, I have Scott. So Scott, just thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Great to be here, Maria. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
For people who are learning about the organization, just walk us through the mission and the work that you guys do.
Yeah, so we're working with vulnerable youth in the foster system, young people who've experienced trauma. They're struggling with the challenges of mental health and behavioral disorders from those traumas, and we provide a safe placement, a loving placement and environment, like here with the Equine Center, 100 acres here on our campus, so those kids can heal. They can find those normal childhood experiences and milestones, so they can grow as children. And we have a campus-based academy, a lot of things happening here to provide a place for these kids to thrive and succeed.
Yeah, and just walk me through the work that some students with UGA Wesley Foundation just did, because we just saw them here.
Yeah, so they've been out doing various projects, renovation projects, here beautifying our healing garden, which is a real special place. You know, a lot of kids today don't get to be outside, and our kids are dealing with some real difficult issues in their life, but to come out here and to have experiences with our staff on the premise and to garden is a real important event for their healing.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the UGA students are in their early 20s, perhaps late teens, and a lot of the foster students here are also in their teens. How important is that connection between UGA students and also just foster students here as well?
Yeah, so the kids that we're serving, they really can't see forward, mostly because they feel captivated by their moment, the situation of their past, and really hard to see their life in the future, see possibility. And so by having these young adults that are just a few years older than them working out here, playing with them on the big field and having these experiences sets before them possibility, potential, going off to college or following the path of some of these young people is something they can actually dream about and envision.
Amazing. You know, a lot of foster teens, especially if they're 18, unfortunately, a lot of the times they age out of the system, but you guys work with 18-year-olds and even up to 21. Why?
Right. So, many of the youth in foster care, there are a number of them that don't have a home or placement to go back to when they heal. And so we're here getting them ready for independent living, for successful life in our communities. And so we work with kids up to age 21. A child, when they reach 18, they're out of state custody, but we can serve them up to 21 to provide those needs to help them get ready.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Scott, for being with me today. I really appreciate it. And UGA students are going to be here all the way till Friday, helping out and volunteering, Tom.
What a fulfilling way to spend your summer as a young person, helping others. And looks like just such an amazing place to do it. Maria Guzman, live for us here in the 3 p.m. stream. Maria, thanks so much. Want to take you now to downtown Atlanta, right next to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, what was the old CNN Center, which, as you know, is attached to State Farm Arena, where CNN World Headquarters used to be, a place I worked for 7 years of my career. I know the inside of that place from end to end, side to side. Let's get out to Eli Jordan, standing by in what used to be, first it was an ice skating rink, then I believe it was a roller coaster rink, and now it's the center of the center. Eli?
Yes, it is the center. Yes, this is your old stomping grounds. I saw your name etched in the walls. Not joking. But yes, the old iconic CNN Center, the big letters out there have been replaced with ATL. So ATL Center, this 1.2 million square foot piece of property, is being renovated to mixed use property. I'll show you around real quick, and we'll flip it. And so yeah, so they're gonna have like 11 great little eateries in this food hall here, and with 2 2 Michelin-rated chefs. And this is a reveal, an unveiling, showing business leaders, city leaders, what all they're going to have planned. This is the state's largest bar, and it is an open bar right now for the event, I guess. But also, though, this is just in time for FIFA, and people come down here on June 12th to check some things out. But eventually, on phase 2, they hope to have apartments, hotels, all up there. Can you imagine living up there at a late night game or a concert happening, people chilling out down here? That would be really, really cool. I spoke to the developer, co-founder of CP Group, Chris Ika, so this is what he had to say about this whole project.
So today is a big day. We've spent 5 years since we bought this project imagining what it could be, and spent the last 2 years actually executing that vision. So as you can see around us, we've converted several thousands, tens of thousands of square feet into retail active uses that the entire community of Atlanta can come and enjoy downtown. And ultimately, this mixed-use project, which is over 1 million square feet, will include residences, hotel, and other uses such as office space. No words can describe what Ted Turner built here. So I think it is a large shoes to fill, as you mentioned, but I do think that the era after CNN was a bit quieter down here. And so as we stepped into this place, reimagining it as a place really open to everyone and feeling a little bit less like a fortress, which it had been for the last several years, it was a big part of what we were trying to accomplish. I think in the past this had been a place people came to and passed through on their way to somewhere else, and now it's a destination. So we're excited for people to come and meet here and stay here. So yes, all these great events that downtown brings to Atlanta, whether it be the World Cup or the Super Bowl, we will be here for all of them, and we hope all the Atlantans come down. I've lived in Atlanta for over the last 20 years and actually went to college here in the 90s as well. So this is home. Raised my family here, and to have a project like this under our stewardship is an honor. So we're really excited to bring some local touch and flavor to it. And as you look around this place, and I would encourage everybody listening to come down and see this place. We've invested in the arts and culture community tremendously here, over $1 million. We've brought in local food operators. Everything in this place is for Atlanta, by Atlanta.
Atlanta, by Atlanta, and they had several speakers here just now talking about it, and there's a certain reverence, major reverence they had, speaking about Ted Turner and what his impact he had here, carry on his legacy and remembering him, as they further develop this, and they still have his apartment up there that they're going to have as a little attraction. You can go, they're going to preserve that. But that's what's happening here at the old CNN Center, the center. I'll kick it back to you, Tom.
An iconic site indeed. It looks amazing, and it will certainly be a place where a lot of people go to enjoy. Eli Jordan at the center for us this afternoon in downtown. Eli, thanks. And thank you for streaming with us here for the 3 p.m. hour on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haynes, live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. Don't go anywhere. The news continues right here, right now.